Chapter 1746. Qin Wendian took a small step forward. In an instant, those experts who surrounded him all retreated in fear. All of them had looks of terror on their faces as great waves rose in their hearts. The sect leader of the Sword Spirit sect, what kind of powerful character was he? A beam of light shot out from Qin Wendian. Qin Wendian died, turning into dust. He had no way to resist at all. At this moment, many people suddenly realized that Qin Wendian wasn't courting death by insulting the lifelong Realm Lord in front of everyone. Rather, he might have stepped into the legendary realm. The Empyreans of the 9 world palaces and many world palaces felt their hearts pounding. How could this be possible? In just 100 years, could this really be accomplished? They had never seen or heard of such a thing before. Below, the countless experts were all in a daze. Was this new Liefire Empyrean planning to defy the heavens? Once, he rose up in the grand banquet of the lifelong realm. Now, it was another grand banquet of the lifelong realm. This time around, he was going to compete for supremacy. Based on Qin Wendian's words earlier, how could everyone not understand that the target he wanted to compete for supremacy was none other than the lifelong Realm Lord? Heaven Heart Mandate. At this moment, the lifelong Realm Lord who was seated on the throne spoke. His eyes stared at Qin Wendian. He didn't expect that Qin Wendian didn't come here purely to throw his life away. Qin Wendian actually came here with preparations, targeting him. Back then when Qin Wendian insulted him, he still thought that Qin Wendian might have someone backing him up. As a character at the World Overlord level, the lifelong Realm Lord knew very well how difficult it was to step into this realm. The more he knew, the more he didn't dare to imagine. Stepping from the mid-stage Immortal Emperor realm to the World Overlord realm in just 100 years, what sort of concept was this? Upon hearing the words Heaven Heart Mandate, the hearts of all the Empyreans trembled violently. They naturally understood the meaning of these words. Heaven Heart Mandate was the symbol of the strength of a World Overlord. Qin Wendian, he was actually already a World Overlord? The Sky Air Palace Lord's countenance could no longer be described with just the word unsightly. He naturally didn't expect this, not even in his wildest dreams. Only now did he understand what Qin Wendian meant when he said he didn't have the qualifications. Right now, he truly didn't have the qualifications to speak equally with Qin Wendian. The people of the Jialan clan felt their hearts shaking. Jialan Jiangshan's heart was trembling. The younger generations would surpass us in time. He suddenly felt that he had truly aged. Once, he saw Qin Wendian and Di Tian breaking through to the Empyrean realm at the same time and killing the Liefire Empyrean. Today, he saw that Qin Wendian comprehended a Heaven Heart Mandate and killed the Sword Spirit sect leader with a single strike. Jialan Yuntian, Jialan Yunhai, Jialan Chuyue and the others all felt speechless in their hearts. They could only stare at that young man in a daze. Was this the source of his confidence? The eyes of the Shenyuan Palace Lord gleamed with sharpness. Back then in the ancient battlefield in Ancient Azure Mystic, he had already experienced the sharpness of Qin Wendian. But even so, he still found it hard to mask his shock at this moment. Seems like Qin Wendian had some miraculous encounters in the ancient battlefield and came back prepared. But even so, if Qin Wendian didn't die, his future accomplishments would surely far surpass the lifelong Realm Lord. If he had to choose who to follow, he would naturally choose Qin Wendian. But even so, he was still struggling in his heart. If he wanted to stand out, this was naturally the best opportunity. If not, once the situation became clear, it would be meaningless. This might be a huge gamble. Di Tian transmitted his voice to the people of the Shenyuan clan. He decided that he would treat this seriously today and wouldn't act recklessly. But now, it might be time for him to choose a side. Countless people had their own thoughts in their hearts. No one noticed the fear and regret in the hearts of the experts of the Sword Spirit sect. They personally witnessed their sect leader being killed in a single strike. Right now, they could only pray that the lifelong Realm Lord would be able to kill Qin Wendian. If not, their Sword Spirit sect would be the first to be destroyed by Qin Wendian. No wonder you dare to be so impudent. So it turns out that you have some confidence. You want to slander this seat because you want to rebel? The lifelong Realm Lord calmly spoke. At this moment, he still didn't forget to clear his name. Lifelong Realm Lord, since your innate character is despicable, why are you unwilling to admit it? Given your despicable character, you have been sitting on this seat for so many years. I wonder how many people have been wronged? Today, it's time for you to abdicate. Qin Wendian calmly spoke. However, his calm voice was like a thunderclap. Today, it's time for you to abdicate. The Lifefire Empyrean, Qin Wendian, wanted the lifelong Realm Lord to abdicate, wanting to replace him. What arrogant words! Just because you comprehended a heaven-heart mandate and stepped into this realm, you think you can defeat this seat? You want to take over the entire lifelong realm with just the few of you? Qin Wendian, your ambitions are too great. You exposed yourself too early and are destined to die prematurely. The lifelong Realm Lord was as expected of a world overlord. Even at this moment, there weren't too many fluctuations in his emotions. The feeling he gave off was as steady as a mountain. Indeed, it's time for you to abdicate. At this moment, a cold voice rang out. The eyes of the lifelong Realm Lord flashed with coldness as he stared in a certain direction. When everyone saw who the person who spoke was, all of them were shocked. The desolate Heaven Palace Lord. The hearts of those who came here to watch the banquet trembled violently. Today, they came here to watch the banquet, but they actually saw a huge commotion. Was it going to erupt now? The desolate Heaven Palace Lord had always been the #1 World Palace Lord of the 9 World Palaces. But now, even he stood out and spoke for Qin Wendian, saying that it was time for the lifelong Realm Lord to abdicate. 2 World Palace Lords had betrayed him. One was a legendary character, Qin Wendian. He rose up like a shooting star, unexcelled in the world. The other was the desolate Heaven Palace Lord, the #1 World Palace Lord. Huang Zhan, you are too impudent. The Sky Air Palace Lord coldly spoke. Master granted you the position of World Palace Lord and even wanted to accept you as a disciple, treating you like one. Yet, you actually have the heart to rebel? Treating me like a disciple? The desolate Heaven Palace Lord Huang Zhan coldly laughed. The reason why I can live until today is because of the protection of a woman. Everyone in the world thinks that I, Huang Zhan, am the #1 World Palace Lord of the 9 World Palaces. But who would know that I'm nothing but a coward who doesn't even dare to fight for my own woman? Realm Lord, back then you snatched away the woman I love and you have always been on guard against me. When I threaten you, I'm afraid that would be the date of my death. To think that after so many years, you are still so despicable and shameless, using such methods to deal with others. Today, I would rather be mocked by everyone in the world. Even if I might die here, I will expose your character. Despicable and shameless to the extreme. The desolate Heaven Palace Lord Huang Zhan had endured for too long. Now, there was finally someone who stood out to oppose the lifelong Realm Lord. He didn't want to endure any longer. He clearly knew that if he spoke out about this matter, his reputation would be tainted and he might even be mocked by others. However, he didn't care anymore. Even if the lifelong Realm Lord obtained victory today and killed Qin Wendian, the lifelong Realm Lord's reputation would still be tarnished. Unless he killed everyone who came here today. But clearly, this was impossible. How many people came here today to participate in the grand banquet? If he did so, his ending would surely be extremely miserable. The crowd was in an uproar once again. The lifelong Realm Lord actually snatched away the woman the desolate Heaven Palace Lord loved. This was simply, in that case, everything Qin Wendian said was true. The lifelong Realm Lord was actually such a despicable person. At this moment, many people felt their beliefs crumbling as their worldview was toppled. That's right, those supreme existences, although they lived in legends, they were still humans. As long as they were humans, they would naturally have desires and greed. The lifelong Realm Lord was lustful. For this, he didn't hesitate to use despicable methods to obtain them. He felt that the entire lifelong realm belonged to him. As long as he was interested in a woman, he would obtain them, even if they were the women of his subordinates. In that case, Qin Wendian was indeed forced to rebel by him. Just like what Qin Wendian said, the lifelong Realm Lord imprisoned Yi Qinyu in the lifelong Saint Hall and used her to perform a dance. Even if he didn't want to rebel, he had no choice but to do so. Seems like the two of you have planned this for a long time and have already joined forces in the dark, sparing no expense to destroy this seat's reputation. If you guys want my position, just come and snatch it. Why is there a need to do this? The lifelong Realm Lord calmly spoke, his tone indifferent. It was as though the words spoken by Qin Wendian and the desolate Heaven Palace Lord were slandering him. He naturally wouldn't admit to it. Realm Lord, there's no need for you to deny it. This matter is known by all the elders in the past. Although you are lofty, it's also a fact that you are despicable. It's best if you just abdicate. At this moment, Jialan Jiangshan, who was in the Lifefire Palace's side, also spoke. Only now did everyone notice that this time around, Jialan Jiangshan and the others weren't sitting on the towering platform in Lifelong City. They were sitting on the Lifefire Palace's side instead. Who else has joined forces with Qin Wenyan? All of you can step out now. This seat doesn't mind having a few more clowns jumping around. Even at this moment, the lifelong Realm Lord was still suppressing his anger. From this, one could see how terrifying his endurance was. Speaking of this, I also recalled some things in the past. At this moment, the Gemini Palace Lord spoke. They stared at the lifelong Realm Lord and spoke, "Lifelong Realm Lord, you should remember that the relationship between you and my master back then was very good, right? At that time, you were extremely humble and polite, extremely friendly to my master. You invited my master to a secret realm to seize a treasure, and after experiencing danger, you actually wanted to hog it all for yourself. After my master saw your character clearly, he started to distance himself from you. You felt guilty in your heart and suggested for the two of us to take on the positions of the Gemini Palace Lords. However, what can this position be compared to the treasure you covet? That is a world divine weapon." Another palace lord from the 9 world palaces stood out. Also, only now did those who didn't know the truth understand that the master of the Gemini Palace Lords was also an extraordinary character, an existence on the same level as the lifelong Realm Lord. Seeing the desolate Heaven Palace and Gemini Palace standing out, the Xinyuan Palace Lord made a decision in his heart. Huang Zhan was the #1 expert of the 9 world palaces, and the master of the Gemini Palace was Yi. It was time for him to choose a side. He knew that he wouldn't be able to stand alone. If he didn't stand on Qin Wentian's side, if Qin Wentian was the one who had the last laugh, their Xinyuan clan would be in dire straits. He had to make a decision now. This subordinate's ancestor once followed Realm Lord to conquer the lifelong realm. During these years, he has always been loyal to Realm Lord. However, today I have no choice but to stand out and say something. The words of the Palace Lords are all facts. Realm Lord, it's a fact that your cultivation base is extremely high, but it's also a fact that your character is inferior. Why don't you step down from the 100-year banquet today? You are no longer suitable to sit in that position. The Xinyuan Palace Lord chose to stand on Qin Wentian's side. Out of the 9 world palaces, the Kangvada Palace Lord had already died. In truth, there were only 8 world palace lords left. Out of the remaining 8 world palace lords, 4 of them betrayed the lifelong Realm Lord, wanting him to step down. They were the desolate Heaven Palace, Xinyuan Palace, Gemini Palace, and Lifefire Palace. The strength of these 4 world palaces was even stronger compared to the other 4 world palaces. The 100-year banquet of the lifelong realm this time around was truly earth-shattering. Chapter 1747. The desolate Heaven Palace was the #1 palace out of the 9 world palaces. The Xinyuan Palace was the first palace that followed the lifelong Realm Lord. It was one of the 3 strongest world palaces together with the desolate Heaven Palace and Sky Air Palace. The Gemini Palace was also very powerful and had 2 world palace lords. Both of them weren't simple characters. As for the Lifefire Palace, in truth, it had already surpassed the desolate Heaven Palace. Because, with Qin Wenyan, he alone was sufficient. Hence, the weight of these 4 world palaces had already far surpassed the Sky Air Palace, Scarlet Origin Palace, Dragon Saddle Palace, and Zheng Metal Palace. This meant that the number of subordinates who betrayed the lifelong Realm Lord and the number of people who wanted him to abdicate was actually more than the number of people who supported him. When such a scene happened before their eyes, How could this not be earth-shattering and heaven-shaking? Everyone was completely stunned as they stared at the sky. At this moment, those people who were waiting to see Qin Wenyan become a joke and felt that Qin Wenyan was courting death were all stunned. They couldn't see the situation clearly. How could this be? Before this, they all felt that Qin Wenyan was courting death. But in the blink of an eye, there were actually so many experts supporting Qin Wenyan. Those who joined the lifelong Realm Lord and mocked Yi Qinyu earlier were all dumbfounded. They were filled with regret in their hearts. If the lifelong Realm Lord were to abdicate today, their consequences could very well be imagined. They silently cursed themselves for being foolish. What was the point of them joining in? The lifelong Realm Lord wouldn't even glance at them. But now they actually offended Qin Wenyan to death. Those monarchs who left the Lifefire Palace because of a single sentence from the lifelong Realm Lord were all completely dumbfounded. What situation was this? There were actually 3 World Palace Lords supporting Qin Wenyan. This was simply too crazy. This scene caused them to feel a sense of similarity to the Lifefire Palace in the past. If the same thing happened again in the lifelong realm, what would their ending be? When they thought of this, all of them felt terror in their hearts. Right now, they could only hope that the lifelong Realm Lord could eliminate Qin Wenyan. If not, their lives would be in danger. Very good. The lifelong Realm Lord's expression grew heavy. The 4 palaces betrayed the Jialan clan as well. Since the Xinyuan Palace Lord betrayed the Xinyuan Palace, the Xinyuan clan would naturally betray as well. This meant that there were 2 major powers at the peak of the lifelong Realm Lord right now. This kind of weight was already very heavy. Moreover, the various palace lords all came out to accuse him of being despicable. This made him understand that his reputation in the Immortals' realm of immortals was thoroughly ruined. It was impossible to wash it clean even if he wanted to. I've always treated you well. Just what conditions did he promise you to make you betray me? Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish. Everyone who participated in the rebellion today will be killed, and their families and powers will be punished. Even if you betrayed me, you should be prepared to pay the price. The lifelong Realm Lord coldly spoke. He stood up from his throne and in an instant, an incomparably terrifying energy enveloped this entire space. This was the power of his world heart, a heart domain. Everyone felt as though they were in a wondrous domain. They could all feel the lifelong Realm Lord's rage, the terrifying flames that burned in their hearts. It has been so many years since we last met. Lifelong, you are still the same as before. Once you are angered, there's no way for you to conceal your emotions. At this moment, a voice drifted over. The lifelong Realm Lord's expression froze as he stared in the air. At this moment, his eyes gleamed with sharpness to the extreme as he spoke. So it's an old friend who has arrived. I was wondering why they had the courage to betray me. So it was you who controlled everything from the shadows. Now, do you want to seize the entire lifelong realm? I'm not as infatuated with authority as you are. You should understand this point. I've never interfered in the matters today. I'm merely someone who knows about it. My disciple reported this to me, that's why I came back to take a look. The voice in the air rang out. Countless people inclined their heads and stared at the sky. Who exactly had arrived? Who could actually speak to the lifelong Realm Lord on equal grounds? In the void, a figure slowly appeared. This person wore a simple long robe and there was nothing special about his attire. He looked middle-aged and was extraordinarily handsome. His entire body exuded a heroic bearing. We pay our respects to Master. The Gemini Palace lords bowed. At this moment, many people already knew the identity of this person. A world overlord, a friend of the lifelong Realm Lord back then. Emperor Qin Wenyan stared at the lanky figure in the air. Although he was middle-aged, one could still see his handsome features. When he was young, he must have been an extremely handsome young man. Junior Qin Wenyan pays my respects to Senior Yi. Qin Wenyan bowed to Emperor Yi. He and Emperor Yi were fated for a very long time and now, he finally had the chance to meet this legendary character. This was an ancient emperor of Azure Mystic, a legendary character praised by many. Yi glanced at Qin Wenyan. His starry eyes flashed with an unmasked look of admiration. Qin Wen. Senior knows of me? Qin Wendian asked. I already know of your matters. The younger generation will surpass us in time. You are much more outstanding compared to me. He smiled. From a certain perspective, this young man before him could be considered half his successor. Qin Wenin had inherited his legacy, inheriting the position of the next Saint Lord and the power of God's hand. Senior praises me too much. Maybe Senior doesn't understand Junior very well, but ever since I learned the secret art in the city of ancient emperors, I've already formed an indissoluble bond with Senior. I would often hear rumors about Senior, and now, I've finally met you in person. Qin Wendian smiled. This feeling was very wondrous. A legendary character had finally appeared before his eyes. He didn't know that in Azure Mystic, many people felt the same way when they saw him. Are you very disappointed? He laughed. Naturally not. It's my fortune to be able to personally witness Senior's glory. Qin Wendian spoke from the bottom of his heart. You have already comprehended a heaven heart mandate and will soon be at the same level as me. There's no need to be so humble. He laughed as he stared at Qin Wenin. After hearing their conversation, only then did the lifelong Realm Lord know that Qin Wendian wasn't Yi's disciple. In fact, this was the first time the two of them met. In that case, everything was just his own imagination. Yi, since you don't know anything about the matters here, what are your plans now that you have returned? At this moment, the lifelong Realm Lord spoke, interrupting the conversation between him and Qin Wenin. If he wanted to act against him, things would truly be troublesome. Qin Wenin had also comprehended a heaven heart mandate. As long as Yi restrained him, no one else would be able to obstruct Qin Wenin. Countless people were stunned. The situation seemed to have changed in an instant. An existence on the same level as the lifelong Realm Lord appeared. In addition, this existence had an extremely good relationship with Qin Wenin and was also the master of the Gemini Palace Lord. If he interfered, who said that he wouldn't be able to pull the lifelong Realm Lord down from his high horse today? He glanced at the lifelong Realm Lord. After that, he turned to Qin Wenin. What are you preparing to do? Since Senior is here, why don't you be a witness for me? Qin Wendian spoke. I was originally the Lifefire Palace Lord under the lifelong Realm Lord. However, he bullied me too deeply. Back then, he actually threatened my good friend Yu Huang to become his concubine. Now, he even publicly humiliated my woman, Yi Qianyu. It's very easy to resolve this matter today. The lifelong Realm Lord will apologize to Princess Kitamura in front of everyone and get the two fairies beside him to perform a dance for him. Also, he will step down from his position and leave the lifelong realm. I won't pursue this matter any further. Qin Wentian's words caused everyone to be stunned. How could the lifelong Realm Lord agree to such conditions? A mocking smile appeared on the lifelong Realm Lord's face as he coldly spoke. You instigated my subordinates to betray me. Even if Yi protects you today, it's still not enough. In that case, there's no way to resolve this conflict. Yi spoke. Since this is the case, I can only ask the lifelong Realm Lord for guidance. Senior, please help me control the situation in case the lifelong Realm Lord becomes desperate and kills the juniors. I also won't participate in the slaughter of the experts from the lifelong Saint Hall. As for the following battles, I will let them settle it themselves. You and I will fight. Qin Wenin officially issued a challenge to the lifelong Realm Lord. Just when many people thought that Qin Wentian's backer was Yi and he would join forces with Yi to deal with the lifelong Realm Lord, he alone issued a challenge to the lifelong Realm Lord. Indeed, to a character at his level, if he acted against others, it would be equivalent to a massacre. However, Qin Wenin wasn't afraid at all. Even if he didn't come, this place was the lifelong Saint Hall. The lifelong Realm Lord's family and harem were still here, and he had many descendants. Could it be that he had no worries at all? Unless he killed Qin Wenin first. If not, as long as he displayed strength that could threaten him, the lifelong Realm Lord wouldn't dare to act recklessly. Naturally, since he had appeared, it would naturally be for the best. Are you challenging me? The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Qin Wenin. You should have some good encounters in ancient Azure Mystic, right? After you stepped into this level, you are in such a hurry to prove your strength. Since this is the case, I'll grant you your wish. I'll let you know the price of arrogance. Once, the Life-Fire Empyrean was the same as you, thinking too highly of himself. But now, he has already been dead for many years. Qin Wenyin arrogantly spoke. "Ha, you actually dare to compare this seat with the Life-Fire Empyrean?" The lifelong Realm Lord laughed. His silhouette flashed as he soared up into the air. In an instant, a resplendent light illuminated the area above the crowd. An incomparably gigantic ancient tree blotted out the sky, blocking the sun, moon, and constellations. The lifelong Realm Lord's title was Longevity. His world heart was the lifelong world heart. Be careful, the lifelong Realm Lord has comprehended 2 types of heaven heart mandates. He transmitted his voice to Qin Wenyin. Qin Wenyin nodded his head lightly. His silhouette was like a bolt of lightning as he soared up into the sky. Everyone below, listen up. Kill all the traitors on the spot. After this battle, we will give out rewards. For those from the various major powers who participate in this battle, if there are any contributions, we will consider filling up the 5 empty World Palace Lords. The lifelong Realm Lord's voice rang out from below. 4 World Palace Lords rebelled and one of them died. The lifelong realm now lacked 5 World Palace Lords. Just a single sentence from the lifelong Realm Lord caused the hearts of many peak powers to pound with excitement. An Empyrean from the Sword Spirit sect coldly spoke. My Sword Spirit sect is willing to fight for the Realm Lord. Who is willing to join forces with my Sword Spirit sect to kill the traitors? To the Sword Spirit sect, they had no other choice. They had to step out. Chapter 1748. Although 4 out of the 9 world palaces rebelled, there were still 4 world palaces that supported the Realm Lord. In addition, there were many peak powers in Lifelong City. In addition, there were many Empyreans who came to the grand banquet this time around. If they were all willing to stand on the lifelong Realm Lord's side, this battle would still be effortless. They would be able to take down Qin Wentian's subordinates and quell this rebellion. But the problem was that the victor between Qin Wendian and the lifelong Realm Lord had yet to be determined. He was in existence on the same level as the lifelong Realm Lord. Who would dare to say that the lifelong Realm Lord would win for sure? If they stood out to kill Qin Wentian's subordinates and the final victory belonged to Qin Wendian, the consequences would be unimaginable. That would truly be a calamity. Naturally, if the lifelong Realm Lord won, they would also be able to obtain many benefits. If they could choose, many powers would rather give up on the benefits they obtained and not participate in this storm. But in truth, many powers had no choice. For example, the other 4 world palaces. If they didn't participate, the lifelong Realm Lord wouldn't spare them even if he won. But if Qin Wendian won, even if Qin Wendian didn't kill them, there would be others who would replace them. For those powers that weren't under the lifelong Realm Lord's control, things were still fine. If Qin Wendian won, he most probably wouldn't find trouble with them. But if the lifelong Realm Lord won, he would surely suppress them. Hence, to many powers now, they were in a dilemma. In the lifelong Saint Hall, many extraordinary characters appeared. There were both males and females. They were the lifelong Realm Lord's family. Since such a major incident happened, they naturally had to come out. Upon seeing these people appearing, more and more major powers stepped out. Experts were as common as the clouds, and there were many Empyreans among them. These powers all had an unbreakable connection with the lifelong Realm Lord. Among them, several of them had sent their most outstanding women to the lifelong Saint Hall, becoming part of the lifelong Realm Lord's harem. There were also many beauties who were married to the lifelong Realm Lord's heirs or major characters in the lifelong Saint Hall. Hence, there were still many people who participated in this battle. Traitors will be killed without mercy. All of you have received the Realm Lord's grace and are considered hegemons of a region. But now, you actually want to protect yourselves? There was a beautiful middle-aged woman who exuded an extraordinary aura. Many people didn't recognize her, but those from the peak powers all knew that this woman was one of the favored concubines of the lifelong Realm Lord. She had both beauty and strength. Her status in the harem of the lifelong Saint Hall was extremely high, and she could even influence the matters of the lifelong Saint Hall. As the sound of her voice faded, many other powers walked out. Someone spoke. That's right, the Lifefire Palace started a rebellion. At this time, we naturally have to fight for the Realm Lord and quell the rebellion, killing the traitors. At this time, another extremely beautiful woman flashed over. Her beautiful eyes stared in the direction of the Barren Heaven Palace Lord, and her beautiful face paled. Bue. Huang Zhan felt pain in his heart when he saw the woman he loved appearing. She was already the lifelong Realm Lord's concubine. He felt extremely conflicted in his heart. Bitch, go back. The beautiful woman from before berated Fairy Bue. Fairy Bue's countenance turned pale. Upon seeing this scene, Huang Zhan released a violent aura as he coldly spoke. Concubine Lu, how dare you? What? Huang Zhan, you can't stand it? Could it be that the two of you have a secret relationship? Bue truly doesn't abide by the rules of a woman. After this battle, I will definitely teach her a lesson. Concubine Lu icily spoke. I will definitely kill you. Huang Zhan's aura gushed forth. He soared through the air, rushing towards his opponent. However, the Sky Air Palace Lord shot out with lightning speed, blocking him. A sword manifested, slashing apart the void. Follow me and kill. In order to repay the Realm Lord's kindness, we will kill the traitors. An expert from the Sword Spirit sect roared, boosting the morale of his troops, wanting more people to join the battle. Fight. The Xinyuan Palace Lord roared. Right now, they had no choice but to fight. Jialan Jiangshan stared at the experts of his opponents as he silently sighed in his heart. He didn't know if the choice he made today was a blessing or a calamity. He hoped that the Jialan clan wouldn't be destroyed in his hands. Stepping out, Jialan Jiangshan slaughtered his way through the crowd. His heart was incomparably resolute. The experts from both sides joined the battle at the same time. For a period of time, the air in the air was filled with their auras. The expressions of the experts below all changed. They naturally didn't expect that the 100-year grand banquet of the lifelong realm would end up like this. A world-shaking battle erupted. Qin Wentian's side doesn't seem to be in a good situation. Although Yi has appeared, he most probably wouldn't participate in this battle. Also, the foundation of the lifelong realm is something the Lifefire Palace can't contend against even if Qin Wentian activated the Lifefire Palace. The crowd silently mused. Although the ending of this battle would be determined by the victor between the lifelong Realm Lord and Qin Wentian, it would truly be too cruel if all of Qin Wentian's subordinates were killed. At this moment, from the crowd below, numerous figures suddenly shot out with lightning speed. Their speed was simply too fast, so fast that it was inconceivable. For one of them, a world manifested behind him, encompassing the myriad of phenomena. He sped towards the direction of the Sword Spirit sect like an arrow leaving the bow. Boundless Source Origin's energy instantly erupted forth, transforming into the power of a primordial world. It was like the primal chaos had split the heavens and the end of the world had arrived. The expression of that Empyrean from the Sword Spirit sect who was encouraging the morale of the sect earlier drastically changed. He only saw numerous origin sources rushing over at the same time, blotting out the sky. A pair of fists was akin to an entire world smashing towards him. The sword souls of the previous sages erupted forth, transforming into a boundless sword intent that could destroy the heavens and earth. However, when the phantoms of the previous sages clashed against that fist, they were all shattered. That world-destroying fist light directly slammed into his head and a final thought appeared in his mind. The Sword Spirit sect is finished. Who is that? Many people felt their hearts trembling as they stared at the figure that appeared. It was actually a delicate and handsome young man. He looked extremely young, but right now, he was like a monarch, descending from the heavens. In another direction, a gigantic golden beast appeared. His entire body was cast from gold and exuded an incomparably imposing aura, like the king of all beasts. He opened his mouth wide and let out a roar that shook the sky, transforming into a heaven-devouring might. Many experts felt their bodies going out of control as they were sucked towards the gigantic mouth. No! Someone screamed in terror. He was about to be devoured by the gigantic beast. In another direction, a group of devils appeared. Their devil might towered up into the sky, and some of them shone with blood-colored judgment light, targeting the experts of the Sword Spirit sect. There were also devils of darkness that directly appeared behind the experts of the Sword Spirit sect, wanting to drag them into the darkness and slaughter them. There were also devils that summoned devil kings, wanting to slaughter everything. Not only so, at this instant, more and more figures soared up into the air, joining the battle. They seemed to have appeared out of thin air, hiding in the crowd, waiting patiently until now to erupt forth with shocking might. They directly appeared in the various battlefields. Among them, the Sword Spirit sect had the most people. Because Qin Wenyan personally said that he wants the Sword Spirit sect to cease to exist. Hence, the Sword Spirit sect suffered the strongest attacks. Before this, they were also the ones who were the most arrogant. But in the blink of an eye, the Sword Spirit sect faced a true calamity. The people of the Sword Spirit sect only felt boundless terror and despair. What sort of existence did they offend exactly? The Sword Spirit sect's sect leader mocked Yi Qinyu earlier, causing the entire Sword Spirit sect to be annihilated. Many people of the Sword Spirit sect felt intense hatred towards their sect leader before they died. They hated him for dragging the entire Sword Spirit sect into this storm. So what if the lifelong Realm Lord was victorious in the end? They could no longer see the end. Who are they? The countless spectators below were all shocked. Where did this army of Empyreans come from? Although Empyreans were considered above the Emperor realm, they were at the half-step world overlord realm. But in reality, they wouldn't be able to tell. They might have comprehended source origins, but they still haven't truly transcended the immortal Emperor realm. If they wanted to hide, even a world overlord wouldn't be able to sense them. Hence, no one knew that there was an army of Empyreans hidden among the spectators. Concubine Lu's beautiful eyes froze as her expression turned extremely unsightly. Those powers who stood out suddenly felt regret. Qin Wentian's arrangements were much more terrifying compared to their imaginations. Although they didn't know where these people came from, it was clear that they had a connection with Qin Wentian. For those who didn't step out to participate in the battle, they all heaved a sigh of relief and decided not to participate in this storm. No matter what would happen in the future, they wouldn't participate. The price was too great. Let alone the people of the lifelong Realm Lord, even the desolate Heaven Palace, Xianyuan Palace, Gemini Palace Lord and the Jialan clan were all stunned by this sudden turn of events. After that, they felt excitement in their hearts. Seems like Qin Wentian has long prepared everything. This caused their confidence in Qin Wentian to grow even stronger. This fellow was simply a miracle. The Xianyuan Palace Lord suddenly discovered that these inconspicuous people seemed somewhat familiar. He had seen them before. These were the people that Qin Wentian brought to the ancient battlefield. At that time, he didn't pay them any heed and he didn't pay them any heed either. Only now did he truly discover that there were actually many Empyreans among these people. But didn't Azure Mystic have no Empyreans at all? Could it be the ancient battlefield? When he thought of this, the Xianyuan Palace Lord's heart trembled. What good fortune did Qin Wentian have exactly? At this moment, he quietly stood in the air and stared at a figure in the air. That person wielded a divine bow and was unceasingly shooting out terrifying arrows, killing one with each arrow. This person was none other than Feather, one of his followers back then. There were also many people around Feather. He could sense a familiar aura from them. Clearly, they were all from the Battle Saint tribe. Qin Wentian didn't mistreat the Battle Saint tribe at all. The accomplishments of these people were even higher compared to the people around him. The Gemini Palace Lord naturally saw this as well. Smiles could be seen in their eyes. The experts of their tribe were all so powerful. At this moment, their hearts were filled with gratitude towards Qin Wentian. Before this, everyone felt that other than the lifelong Realm Lord and Qin Wentian, the lifelong Realm Lord's faction would have the absolute advantage. However, they didn't expect the situation to suddenly change. Qin Wentian actually hid an Empyrean army and used absolute strength to suppress his opponents. Today was the 100-year grand banquet of the lifelong realm. Was the lifelong realm really going to change? Chapter 1749. During the grand banquet of the lifelong realm, many people came to spectate. They did see many major characters, but they didn't see the tens of thousands of people bowing to the lifelong realm lord. They didn't see geniuses competing against each other. They didn't see the monarchs of the 9 world palaces fighting against each other. When they came here, they saw a heaven-shaking rebellion. Qin Wenyin started a rebellion against the 4 world palaces and was now leading an army of Empyreans. He himself has also comprehended a heaven heart mandate, and no one knew if he has already broken through to the world overlord realm. This time around, the energy Qin Wenyin unleashed was even more ferocious compared to the time when he was at the Lifefire Palace. He was like a hot knife cutting through butter, wanting to take over the lifelong realm in a single move. Qin Wenyin was originally the Lifefire Palace Lord. In the martial world, strength was the most important thing. If Qin Wenyin could defeat or even kill the lifelong realm lord, there was no doubt that he would directly become the new realm lord. He basically didn't need anyone's approval. He would be the overlord of this world, ascending to the throne, becoming a supreme existence. In fact, he would even be able to change the name of the lifelong realm. If he ascended, it would be a change of dynasty. Clearly, he would use his title to name this world. The battle in the air continued. The army of Empyreans that appeared was unstoppable. However, the lifelong realm lord also had many Empyreans. Although they were somewhat dazed earlier and were caught unprepared, they still had the strength to fight back. Although it was very forceful, they still managed to defend against the frenzied attacks of their opponents. The attacks of the desolate Heaven Palace Lord Huangzhan were extremely tyrannical. He fought against the personal disciple of the lifelong realm lord, the Sky Air Palace Lord. Each of his attacks were tyrannical and deadly. When Fairy Bus saw this scene, she didn't know what she was feeling. Even if Huangzhan won in the end and she regained her freedom, so what of it? Could everything return to the past? It was impossible. She already had a son of the lifelong realm lord. If that was the case, wouldn't Huangzhan and her son become enemies? Love and hate, these were the hardest things to resolve in the world. Huangzhan had endured for so many years and finally erupted today. This also required a great deal of courage. In the air, the lifelong realm lord was surrounded by ancient trees that blotted out the sun, resembling an ancient divinity. Right now, his eyes were no longer as calm as before. His cold killing intent was no longer masked as he stared at Qin Wenyin. I didn't expect that these people were brought out by you from the ancient battlefield, right? No wonder you have comprehended a heaven heart mandate. What did you obtain in the ancient battlefield? The ancient battlefield is filled with divine depositories. I've already reported to you that I have something important to do and it's not convenient for me to return. Yet you forced me to return. Back then, the Lifefire Empyrean died in my hands precisely because he used Yi Qinyu to threaten me. Why do you want to repeat the same mistake? Qin Wenyin coldly spoke. How can this seat not know? If it wasn't for the fact that you are Yi's disciple, I might have put you in an important position back then. Also, it's precisely because I know of the grudge between you and the Lifefire Empyrean. Hence, after you killed the Lifefire Empyrean, I once wanted to kill you directly or expel you from the lifelong realm. However, what's laughable is that this seat actually thought that Princess Kitamura was your senior apprentice sister and wanted to show kindness to you, wanting you and Princess Kitamura to be on my side. Who would have thought that the two of you are actually a pair of dogs? In the end, I still made you hate me. If I knew this would happen, why would I nurture a tiger? The lifelong realm lord coldly spoke. Lifelong realm lord, given your lofty position, you are already used to thinking that you are infallible. You basically don't care about the feelings of others. Let me repeat myself once more. Princess Kitamura and I are pure and innocent. Right now, we are already standing in opposition to you. I, Qin Wenyin, am upright and upright. Why would I need to lie? But even so, do you think that making her your concubine is a show of kindness? Who do you think you are? Qin Wenyin mocked. Despicable people naturally won't admit their own despicableness. Today, you saw yourself being betrayed by your allies and many of your subordinates. Could it be that my rallying power is so great? Do all of them feel that I will definitely win against you? Because you have gone against humanity and are unpopular, yet you are still so complacent. Shut up. The lifelong Realm Lord coldly snorted. Since you started a rebellion, you should know the consequences of failure. Not only will you die, Princess Kitamura and Yi Chinyu will also pay a price. I heard that you even brought 2 beautiful wives with you to the Lifefire Palace. This seat just so happens to want to admire them. After you die, this seat will take care of them for you. The lifelong Realm Lord was clearly enraged. He no longer paid attention to his own words. Despicable words flowed from his mouth, revealing his true nature. What an ugly face. Qin Wentian spoke. His body was bathed in boundless radiance. Right now, it was useless to say anything more. They could only fight. The winner would be the king and the loser would be vilified. This seat will do as I say. The lifelong Realm Lord coldly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, ancient trees towered up into the sky, filling this entire space. In the air above Qin Wentian, a gigantic ancient tree descended from the sky, transforming into countless ancient vines that blotted out the sun, locking down this entire space, not allowing Qin Wentian to escape. Kill! The lifelong Realm Lord coldly roared. Those incomparably gigantic vines grew frenziedly, the tips of the vines were as sharp as swords. They frenziedly shot towards Qin Wentian with inconceivable speed. World Heart Domain. Within this domain, everything was enveloped by the Longevity Heaven Heart's mandate. There was no way for one to escape. Around Qin Wentian, vines also grew frenziedly, shooting towards Qin Wentian, burying him in the air. Within the heart domain, there was no way to block. Qin Wentian's body was instantly entangled. At this moment, Qin Wentian suddenly radiated boundless light. In a battle of this level, what mattered was the strength of one's Heaven Heart mandate as well as the usage of it. Boundless light enveloped Qin Wentian. Everywhere the light shone upon, everything was reduced to nothingness. This Heaven Heart mandate that Qin Wentian comprehended was somewhat similar to the Yang flame he saw in the world of 10,000 laws. However, this Heaven Heart mandate was a fusion of light and sword origin energy, in addition to his own comprehension. He named this Heaven Heart mandate, Light Flames. This Heaven Heart mandate contained an incomparably terrifying penetrative power. Although it didn't fuse spatial energy with it, it was in addition to his comprehension of space. When the Heaven Heart mandate of Light Flames was released, everything in the surroundings was directly shattered into nothingness. Those extremely sturdy vines that were entangling him were all incinerated. In addition, the Heaven Heart mandate of Light Flames continued to penetrate through everything, shooting towards the lifelong Realm Lord. This was the first time he truly used a Heaven Heart mandate to fight against a world overlord. He also wanted to see how strong his Heaven Heart mandate was when compared to other world overlords. The sealed space was broken apart by the power of the Heaven Heart mandate of Light Flames. But in the next instant, the vines that blotted out the sun were reborn, destroyed and reborn, reborn and destroyed again. This Heaven Heart mandate was known as the lifelong Heaven Heart mandate. The lifelong Realm Lord even used this Heaven Heart mandate to derive his world heart, hoping that he would be able to live forever. Not only would this Heaven Heart mandate have immense attacking prowess, it would also have an extremely strong recovery ability. However, the lifelong Realm Lord didn't have a complacent look on his face. From this exchange of blows, he could already sense that Qin Wentian's Heaven Heart mandate was very strong, extremely strong. It was actually able to directly destroy his Heaven Heart mandate. In addition, he could also sense that Qin Wentian didn't seem to have comprehended a world heart. Qin Wentian was merely using pure Heaven Heart mandate to attack. You haven't stepped into the world overlord realm yet? The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Qin Wentian. If I wanted to break through, I could have done so before this battle with you. It's just that I'm not like you with such mediocre talent. You only comprehended an ordinary Heaven Heart mandate and used it to derive your world heart. Qin Wentian arrogantly spoke, mocking the lifelong Realm Lord's talent. His words caused the lifelong Realm Lord's expression to turn unsightly. Arrogant. You want to comprehend a transcendental heaven heart mandate and regenerate a world heart? What arrogant words! I'm afraid you won't have a chance to do so. Since I clearly know that I have to fight against you, but I still haven't broken through to the world overlord realm. Could it be that you still don't understand what this means? I've never treated you, the lifelong realm lord, as my opponent. You are still not worthy. You are merely an ordinary world overlord whom I killed before I broke through to the world overlord realm. Qin Wendian continued to mock. It was true that he didn't comprehend a world heart, but in reality he could do so, but he chose not to. There could be many types of heaven heart mandates, but there was only one type of world heart. Although he could still change it in the future, he wanted to stabilize his foundation first before planning to expand it further. Back then, after the Skybreak heavenly deity learned of this matter, he also knew that he had once misunderstood Qin Wenyin. The disappointment in his heart also vanished like smoke. This fellow's ambitions were truly great. Although he first comprehended a heaven heart mandate, it was merely an attempt. He didn't plan to derive his world heart after he comprehended it, completely stepping into the world overlord realm. After Qin Wenyin experienced the various secret realms, he had a very strong sense of his own views regarding his own cultivation. In fact, the Skybreak heavenly deity knew that there was no need for him to interfere in the process of Qin Wenyin stepping into the world overlord realm. He could allow Qin Wenyin to comprehend things on his own, and he would only occasionally guide him. There has never been a lack of geniuses in this world. It's just that the vast majority of them died because of their arrogance. The lifelong realm lord spoke again. His silhouette flashed as he shot towards Qin Wenyin, bringing with him countless ancient vines. Qin Wenyan's body was still radiating light. The heaven heart mandate of the lifelong realm lord was frenziedly unleashed within the heart domain of the lifelong realm lord, unceasingly destroying the vines shooting towards him. However, the vines before the lifelong realm lord were all destroyed and reborn, forming an extremely strong defense for him. Go to hell! The lifelong realm lord stretched out his palm towards Qin Wenyin and abruptly clenched his fist. Qin Wenyin waved his hand. The heaven heart mandate of the lifelong realm lord penetrated through everything. However, he discovered that the shattered vines didn't completely vanish. As the lifelong realm lord clenched his fist, the vines actually transformed into a dark green viscous substance that resembled the qi of the void, frenziedly gushing into Qin Wenyan's body. Corrosion. The lifelong realm lord coldly spoke. Every strand of qi that entered Qin Wenyan's body transformed into a destructive corrosive energy that corroded Qin Wenyan's body. His flesh directly rotted as his wounds rapidly expanded. The heaven heart mandate of the lifelong realm lord was frenziedly unleashed, wanting to expel and purify this corrosive energy. The lifelong realm lord coldly laughed. He stretched out his palm as the dark green viscous substance frenziedly gathered around Qin Wenyin, burying him within. As to why he comprehended the lifelong world heart, it was because he could allow other types of energy to be destroyed and reborn within his world heart, undying and indestructible. For example, his second heaven heart mandate, corrosion, could cause Qin Wenyan's body to turn into a pool of blood. Not even his bones would remain. Chapter 1750. The lifelong realm lord was the ruler of an entire world. He naturally had his outstanding points. The lifelong realm heart could be used together with the corrosive heaven heart mandate, allowing the corrosive energy to flow endlessly until the opponent was completely corroded. Back then, he used the longevity heaven heart mandate to create a world heart precisely because he wanted to see how powerful the longevity heaven heart mandate was. The boundless corrosive energy continued to corrode Qin Wenyan's body, causing Qin Wenyan's body to be corroded bit by bit. A malevolent smile appeared on the lifelong realm lord's face. Genius? Stepping into the world overlord realm from the mid-stage of the immortal emperor realm within 100 years? So what of it? No matter how high one's talent is, no matter how powerful a genius is, they would still be unable to defeat the word death. As long as they died, everything would be transformed into nothingness, no longer existing. He stared at Qin Wenyan's body disappearing bit by bit as his expression turned cold to the extreme. Qin Wenin wasn't even a world overlord, yet he dared to fight against him? Courting death. In the air, the overwhelming energy dissipated. The countless vines retracted, vanishing in an instant. World overlords had a world heart and had comprehended heaven heart mandates. Their control over energy was extremely powerful. It was just a matter of a single thought. The battle has ended? Countless people inclined their heads and stared at the vanishing silhouette of Qin Wenin. The lifelong Realm Lord was still standing there. At this moment, the subordinates of the lifelong Realm Lord were all in a state of wild joy. As for the experts on Qin Wentian's side, their countenances all turned pale. If the lifelong Realm Lord killed Qin Wenin on the spot, there would only be a single ending for them: destruction. Master is mighty. The Sky Air Palace Lord roared. He was suppressed by Huang Zhan and felt extremely depressed. Right now, his gaze when he looked at Huang Zhan was like he was looking at a dead man. Since his master had killed Qin Wenin, everything has ended. A complacent smile appeared on the lifelong Realm Lord's face. But at this moment, he seemed to have suddenly sensed something. His brows furrowed as boundless energy gushed forth once more. In just an instant, countless vines bloomed, blotting out the sun as boundless energy formed a barrier before him. This sudden change caused many people to be puzzled. In the next instant, they saw an extremely intense beam of light. Qin Wentian's body transformed into a beam of light as he punched out with a fist of light, containing incomparable might. The power of the blazing light Heaven Heart mandate instantly shot towards the lifelong Realm Lord. Upon seeing Qin Wentian's figure appearing once more, the arrogant smile on the Sky Air Palace Lord's face instantly froze. Huang Zhan roared, "Prepare to die." The battle below instantly erupted with even more ferocity and intensity. And in the air, when Qin Wentian's fist of light slammed into the light barrier made of vines, the terrifying power of the blazing light Heaven Heart mandate, along with the innate technique, directly penetrated through the light barrier and shot towards the lifelong Realm Lord's body. The beams of light were tyrannical to the extreme, directly penetrating through the lifelong Realm Lord's body. With a boom, the lifelong Realm Lord's body exploded into pieces, transforming into nothingness. However, Qin Wenin only saw a figure flashing by. At the instant the lifelong Realm Lord's body was destroyed, another figure actually appeared beside him. This figure was also the lifelong Realm Lord's silhouette. He has a world divine weapon on him that contains an extremely unique energy. It allows him to instantly split into another body when he's in danger, using that body to replace his death. It's very hard for your attacks to kill him. Below, Yi reminded. Before this, he didn't interfere because he wanted to see Qin Wentian's capabilities. When Qin Wentian fought against the lifelong Realm Lord, he originally didn't take him into consideration. He naturally had his own confidence, and at such a time, he naturally wouldn't interfere. He wanted Qin Wentian to sense it himself. It was just that right now, Qin Wentian had already come into contact with the lifelong Realm Lord's core ability. This was the reason why he reminded Qin Wentian. That world divine weapon was something he obtained from the lifelong Realm Lord back then when he was training with him. The lifelong Realm Lord kept it for himself, and it was an extremely powerful life-saving treasure that had miraculous effects in battle. The lifelong Realm Lord's expression was extremely unsightly to behold. He was actually almost killed by Qin Wenin. Qin Wenin just entered this realm and comprehended the power of Heaven Heart mandates. His Heaven Heart mandate was actually so tyrannical that it could directly threaten him, a true world overlord. Also, earlier, how did Qin Wenin vanish before his eyes and reappear out of thin air? Being able to hide from his world heart, what sort of ability was this? There was only one possibility. Qin Wenin also didn't just comprehend a single type of Heaven Heart mandate. This young man before him used such a short period of time. Other than the Light Blaze Heaven Heart mandate, he actually comprehended other types of Heaven Heart mandates as well. This definitely wasn't something that could be summarized with the word fortuitous encounter. If one didn't have extremely high comprehension abilities, it was basically impossible to accomplish this. What Heaven Heart mandate is that? The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Qin Wenin as he asked. Qin Wenyan coldly glanced at the lifelong Realm Lord. It was true that he didn't just comprehend a single type of Heaven Heart mandate. Earlier, the Heaven Heart mandate he used was called the Illusory Void. What the lifelong Realm Lord saw were all illusions while he used the power of his Heaven Heart mandate to conceal himself. The powerful illusory Heaven Heart mandate caused the lifelong Realm Lord to be unable to discover his true body. This time around, Qin Wenyan felt even more confidence in his Heaven Heart mandate. As expected, his Heaven Heart mandate was much stronger compared to ordinary world overlords. If not, he would definitely be discovered. In addition, his attacks were also able to break through the defenses of his opponents. I initially thought that I would underestimate you. Hence, I was extremely careful. Who would have thought that a world overlord like you is actually so weak? Seems like I have overestimated you. Qin Wenyan didn't reply to the lifelong Realm Lord's words. He coldly continued, just an attack of this level and you actually need to borrow the power of a divine weapon to protect your life? It's about time for you to scram from the position of the overlord of a world. Let me return your words to you. After you die, there's no need to worry. I will take care of the lifelong realm. As for your family and friends, I will naturally arrange them for you. The lifelong Realm Lord's expression grew more and more unsightly. He no longer had the calmness he had when he sat on the throne earlier. Qin Wentian's words were a domineering counterattack to his earlier words about taking care of Qin Wentian's beautiful wife. He was the overlord of a world, he was confident and powerful. Because he dared to say this, he didn't even think about what terrifying ending would happen if he was defeated. Right now, when he thought about it, he felt his entire body turning cold. In truth, after this short exchange of blows, he himself was no longer as confident as before. The lifelong Realm Lord took out an ancient mirror. This mirror radiated a mystical energy. It was a world divine weapon. The lifelong Realm Lord waved his hand as the world divine weapon flew into the air. He then formed hand seals as the ancient mirror shone upon the vast space. When the lifelong Realm Lord unleashed another attack, the ancient mirror projected a projection of him, transforming into an attack of the same level, shooting towards Qin Wenyan. This wasn't merely a defensive-type world divine weapon. It was also an attack-type world divine weapon. Qin Wenyan waved his hand and directly blasted out a beam of light. This beam of light was actually a treasure hoop that radiated a mystical glow that instantly enveloped the ancient mirror. A cold smile appeared on his face. He was just thinking about how to deal with the lifelong Realm Lord's world divine weapon. Should he borrow the power of the lifelong Realm Lord's world divine weapon? But right now, there was no longer a need to think about it. The lifelong Realm Lord was gifting his world divine weapon to him. This treasured hoop had taken in world divine weapons before in the ancient battlefield. Today, it would naturally not be an exception. When the light flashed past, the resplendent ancient mirror that was floating in the air directly disappeared. As for the treasured hoop, it lit up with a dazzling light. The lifelong Realm Lord turned pale when he saw this scene. His world divine weapon was actually directly taken away? What grade of treasure was this treasure hoop? It was actually able to directly absorb other treasures from the air. You can die now. Qin Wenyan coldly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, his body transformed into a bolt of lightning, directly vanishing from sight as he launched an attack towards the lifelong Realm Lord. The lifelong Realm Lord released his Heaven Heart mandate, instantly causing boundless corrosive energy to corrode Qin Wentian's body. The corrosive energy frenziedly gushed towards him, instantly burying him within, instantly killing him. But this time around, the lifelong Realm Lord wouldn't let his guard down. He prepared himself and didn't pause at all. Qin Wentian's body appeared in the air once again, rushing towards him. It was hard to differentiate which was real and which was fake. The lifelong Realm Lord had an unsightly expression on his face. He roared in rage as boundless corrosive dark green light manifested in the air, wanting to corrode this entire space, regardless of where Qin Wenyan was hiding. The same scene appeared again. Qin Wenyan seemed to have comprehended the longevity Heaven Heart mandate just like him. Qin Wenyan was resurrected from the dead, like an undying existence. After this repeated, The lifelong Realm Lord's expression was as unsightly as it could be. But at this moment, an extremely cold intent appeared in his heart as his killing intent towered up into the sky. He discovered a pattern. Qin Wentian's Heaven Heart mandate had a limit as well. When Qin Wentian's body was corroded again, the lifelong Realm Lord didn't retreat this time around. He didn't intentionally widen the distance between him and Qin Wentian. Instead, he took the initiative to attack. His attacks were extremely sharp to the extreme. At the instant when Qin Wentian's body was corroded, the lifelong Realm Lord took a step forward and appeared behind the corroded Qin Wentian. A palm strike ruthlessly blasted out towards the void. This palm strike contained the tyrannical strength of a world overlord. With a single strike, even the void would shatter. Anyone who was hiding in the void would be injured or even destroyed. This was the pattern the lifelong Realm Lord discovered. Every time Qin Wentian's true body appeared, it would be at the location where his false body was destroyed. Although he had the ability to create illusions, there was still a limit to it. It was impossible for him to teleport through the void without any fluctuations of his aura. The lifelong Realm Lord didn't force Qin Wentian out because Qin Wentian was right beside him. An extremely dazzling beam of light shot out. Qin Wentian's body that was about to be corroded suddenly turned corporeal. A bolt of lightning directly slashed down, slashing into the lifelong Realm Lord's body. There were no obstructions, it directly slashed through. The full force of the lifelong Realm Lord's attack slashed down, causing numerous bloody wounds to appear on the lifelong Realm Lord's body. Chapter 1751. The lifelong Realm Lord roared. His lifelong world heart frenziedly healed his damaged body. However, how would Qin Wentian give him a chance? He directly punched out, slamming into the lifelong Realm Lord's body. This punch was infused with the power of Heaven Heart mandates. In an instant, boundless light illuminated the area, blinding everyone's eyes. Countless people inclined their heads and stared at the sky. The lifelong Realm Lord and Qin Wentian were in the center of the light. The difference was that Qin Wentian was bathed in holy light while the lifelong Realm Lord's body was constantly radiating light in all directions. The lifelong Realm Lord's body gradually turned illusory, about to disintegrate into nothingness. How did you do this? The lifelong Realm Lord's expression contorted as boundless terror appeared on his face. He stared at Qin Wentian. He didn't understand. Before this, he definitely didn't make a mistake. He had grasped the laws of Qin Wentian's Heaven Heart mandate and unleashed a sure-kill attack. But this time around, why was Qin Wentian no longer in the void? That seemingly corroding body of his had become his true body instead? You have the lifelong world heart, but I have an undying body. My world heart can be broken, but how can an undying body be destroyed? In the future, the lifelong realm shall be under my control. Everyone in the world will submit to me. Boundless Heaven Heart mandates of the lifelong Realm Lord were still frenziedly erupting forth, illuminating this entire space. I'm unwilling to accept this. The lifelong Realm Lord roared. He had unparalleled authority and countless beauties in his harem. Even if he was to stop at this level in the future, as long as he was more cautious and didn't offend characters that were too powerful, he would still be the king of the lifelong realm, able to enjoy boundless glory. The entire world would belong to him, all the beauties in the world would belong to him. However, was everything going to become a fleeting cloud? He actually died in the hands of one of his subordinates. 100 years ago, this young man who was still a mid-stage immortal emperor and was appointed by him as the Lifefire Palace Lord, had taken his life and even occupied his harem. When he thought of how he threatened Qin Wentian before this, an incomparable fear appeared in his heart. After he died, how would Qin Wentian treat his harem and his descendants? When he thought of those beauties being controlled by Qin Wentian, his heart ached even more. He also thought of Biyue being together with the traitor desolate Heaven Palace Lord, Huangzhan. He was filled with boundless regret and unwillingness as he gradually dissipated. No matter how much unwillingness he had, he wouldn't be able to escape death. No matter how powerful you are, everything would become nothing before death. The intense light was extremely blinding. The battle in the air finally calmed down. Countless people inclined their heads and stared at the beam of light, staring at the vanishing silhouette of the lifelong realm lord as great waves of shock rose in their hearts. Many people were trembling uncontrollably because of fear. An example was the Sky Air Palace Lord, the people from the lifelong St. Hall, and those people who spoke up when the lifelong realm lord said that he wanted to borrow Qin Wentian's women to dance. It was as though they could already predict how tragic their ending would be. Never in their wildest dreams would they have imagined that the young man whom they thought would be punished by the lifelong realm lord would actually launch such a heaven-shaking rebellion. They also didn't expect that he would directly challenge the lifelong realm lord and even win against him, directly slaying the lifelong realm lord. What consequences would this bring? They simply didn't dare to think about it. Today, the people who came here to spectate the 100-year grand banquet were all stunned. That lofty divinity character, an existence they all revered, the lifelong realm lord actually died on the day of the grand banquet, killed by the legendary Life-Fire Empyrean, Qin Wenin. Qin Wenin was the same as the previous Life-Fire Empyrean back then, killing the previous realm lord. How domineering was this? At this moment, they suddenly realized that a legend was being born right before their eyes. Many people suddenly felt anticipation for Qin Wenin. They had personally witnessed the birth of such a legendary character. Could it be that this wasn't enough to cause them to be filled with anticipation? Although the lifelong realm lord died, the words spoken by the four world palace lords earlier already caused them to doubt the character of the lifelong realm lord. In addition, what did the identity of the lifelong realm lord have to do with them? They only wanted to see an even stronger existence, an even more outstanding legendary character. Boom! An explosive sound rang out, jolting everyone awake. They turned their gazes over and saw that the statue of the lifelong realm lord that had stood on the stairway of the lifelong St. Hall for countless years was destroyed by someone. What was laughable was that the person who acted was actually the Scarlet Origin Palace Lord who stood on the lifelong realm lord's side. After he destroyed the statue, he bowed to Qin Wenyan who was in the air. Before this, subordinate obeyed the lifelong realm lord and had no choice but to fight for him. Now that the lifelong realm lord has died, Palace Lord Qin will naturally replace him. This subordinate pays my respects to the new realm lord. Everyone started but soon recovered as they silently cursed in their hearts. How shameless! This fellow's reaction speed was actually so fast. His skin was so thick that it caused people to be tongue-tied. This was especially so for the two palace lords from the Saddle Dragon Palace and Jengmetal Palace. Their eyes were filled with disdain when they stared at Qin Wenyan. But after that, they bowed at the same time. Your subordinates have sinned. We pay our respects to the new realm lord. From now onwards, no one will dare to defy realm lord Qin's orders. The people from the Xianyuan Palace, Gemini Palace and Jialan clan were all speechless when they heard these shameless words. In order to preserve their lives, they would truly do anything. The crowd in the vast space also stared at them in shock. This was truly shameless enough. The speed at which they submitted wasn't just an ordinary level of speed. The palace lords could naturally sense the disdainful gazes of everyone. But so what of it? The lifelong realm lord was killed by Qin Wenyan in public. The situation instantly became clear. Qin Wentian's replacement was the inevitable. Could it be that they were courting death by continuing to resist? Compared to their lives, what was face? What did the pride of a palace lord count for? Nothing was more important than their lives. For this point, although everyone was filled with disdain, they understood this in their hearts. They inclined their heads and stared at the magnificent figure in the air. The Xianyuan Palace, Jialan clan and the other major powers all bowed. We pay our respects to the realm lord. We pay our respects to the realm lord. Countless people spoke. Even for those who were fighting against Qin Wentian's forces earlier, they all called out in a loud voice. If they didn't surrender now, it would mean that they didn't want their lives anymore. The spectators below stared up at the sky as their gazes involuntarily flashed with respect. Their gazes when they looked at Qin Wenyan began to change. They truly began to realize that a legendary character had been born at this moment. The Sky Air Palace Lord's countenance was as pale as paper. He didn't kneel because he understood that Qin Wendian could spare everyone except for him. At the instant Qin Wendian killed the lifelong Realm Lord, his fate was already determined. He would die for sure. It was just that even now, he still found it hard to accept this. Today, they were prepared to ruthlessly humiliate Qin Wendian and Princess Kitamura. His master would deal with Qin Wendian today. But why did the situation suddenly change? Everything that happened completely exceeded his imagination. Even now, when he stared at the white-robed young man, he still couldn't accept the fact that the white-robed young man would replace his master and control his fate. Concubine Lu's countenance was also extremely pale. Once the lifelong Realm Lord died, she understood that everything was finished. Everything was finished. The people on Qin Wendian's side all had completely different emotions. The Xianyuan Palace Lord silently sighed in relief. He had hesitated for a very long time when he chose a side. Luckily, he made the right bet. As for the Jialan clan, they understood that next, the light that belonged to them was finally about to arrive. They were the most loyal supporters of Qin Wendian. Although they supported Qin Wendian before this, they still thought that Qin Wendian had a backup plan and didn't kill the lifelong Realm Lord alone. When they thought about it now, they all felt disbelief in their hearts. It was like they were in a dream. Jialan Jiangshan felt a chill in his heart. This time around, the stakes were too great. He felt that he was too audacious. His opponent was the lifelong Realm Lord. He might as well win. Jialan Chue stared at the magnificent figure in the air as her beautiful eyes went into a daze. The radiance of some people couldn't be blocked by anyone. When their radiance was released, everyone in the world would submit to them. Qin Wendian was undoubtedly such an existence. The younger generations will surpass us in time. He sighed in his heart. A junior from Azure Mystic who was so much later than him actually managed to kill the lifelong Realm Lord. The two palace lords of the Gemini Palace clenched their fists tightly as excitement flashed in their eyes. The Saint Lord of this generation was even more domineering and terrifying compared to their Saint Lord. Would the Battle Saint tribe be able to rise to glory in his hands? They could finally see hope. Yi Qinyu was still radiating charm. Her beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wendian as boundless pride filled her heart. This was her man. After learning of her predicament, he only said a few words to her, "Wait for me." All the humiliation she suffered before this was completely washed clean at this moment. From now onwards, who in the world would dare to criticize her? Those people who once spoke disrespectfully to her, most probably all sank into boundless terror right now. Princess Kitamura lowered her head. Gentleness could be seen in her eyes. This battle was for Yi Qinyu, but wasn't it for her as well? The white-robed young man exuded boundless magnificence. His body slowly floated down from the air. Numerous silhouettes flashed as Jun Mingchen and the other Empyreans appeared behind him. For a period of time, the entire place was filled with boundless radiance. Such a lineup directly surpassed the lifelong Realm Lord of the past. The lifelong realm welcomed an even more powerful Realm Lord, an even more powerful lineup. How do you want to die? Qin Wendian turned his gaze to the Sky Air Palace Lord. This person was as despicable as the lifelong Realm Lord. His words earlier were extremely malicious, taking advantage of Yi Qinyu and insulting the relationship between him and Princess Kitamura. Now that the lifelong Realm Lord died, the first person he wanted to kill was naturally him. Qin Wendian, so what even if you win? You won't be able to wash away the stain on your body. Your woman? A venomous look appeared on the face of the Sky Air Palace Lord. Even before his death, he still wanted to say some malicious words to disgust Qin Wendian. But at this moment, a beam of light cascaded down as the power of a Heaven Heart mandate directly pierced into his throat. He instantly couldn't make any sound. Even before your death, you still refused to repent. I initially wanted to give you a quick death, but since you like to humiliate others so much, just live on then. Qin Wendian's body flashed with light, unceasingly ravaging the Sky Air Palace Lord's body. The Sky Air Palace Lord screamed in agony as everything in his body was being destroyed. Qin Wendian waved his hand, directly sweeping him away like he was dealing with an ant. To the Sky Air Palace Lord who was used to being high up in the air, living was sometimes more painful than death. As long as he didn't die, he would have to endure all sorts of humiliation. Chapter 1752. The Sky Air Palace Lord was crippled and was directly swept away by Qin Wenyin. Everyone could already guess what his fate would be like. An incomparably arrogant world palace lord, after being crippled, what sort of humiliation would he have to endure? He was once high up in the air, looking down on those he had offended before. How would they take revenge on him? Just like what Qin Wenyin said, sometimes, living was even more painful than death. It all depended on whether the Sky Air Palace Lord was willing to commit suicide or not. Qin Wenyin turned his gaze to the Dragon Saddle Palace Lord, his eyes gleaming with coldness. Begging for mercy and surrendering? This Dragon Saddle Palace Lord was most probably the most shameless person other than the Sky Air Palace Lord. Before this, he was the one who supported the lifelong Realm Lord the most, insulting Yi Qinyu and even requested to be killed. Now, he was also the fastest to surrender. From this, one could see his character. It's true that we all serve our respective masters. But for those who humiliated my women, do they still think they can live? Qin Wenyin coldly spoke. In an instant, the Dragon Saddle Palace Lord's expression turned ashen. I'll give the two of you a quick death. Qin Wenyin spoke. The power of his Heaven Heart mandate gushed forth, enveloping the Dragon Saddle Palace Lord and Scarlet Origin Palace Lord. These two had once supported the lifelong Realm Lord, but now, they were begging for mercy? If he was defeated, the two of them wouldn't show him any mercy. The power of his Heaven Heart mandate gushed forth, directly killing the two Palace Lords. This caused the hearts of everyone to tremble. In a short period of time, 3 Palace Lords were already punished. Zheng Metal Palace Lord, I permit you to bring your family and leave the Zheng Metal Palace. Remember, settle everything cleanly. Qin Wenyin calmly spoke, sparing the Zheng Metal Palace Lord's life. With the deaths of 2 Palace Lords earlier, the Zheng Metal Palace Lord could already be considered extremely fortunate. Luckily, he was low profile and didn't speak much before this. Hence, he didn't suffer any unexpected calamity. He bowed. Many thanks, Realm Lord Qin. After speaking, he turned and departed. From now on, the 4 World Palace Lords who followed the lifelong Realm Lord were all dealt with. In addition to the fact that Qin Wenyin was originally the Lifefire Palace Lord and the Kungvada Palace Lord had already died, there were now 6 World Palace Lords in the 9 World Palaces. The gazes of many people when they looked at the Jialan clan changed. Before this, they all thought that the Jialan clan was foolish. But only now did they understand how wise the Jialan clan's choice was. Their dream of becoming the World Palace Lord of one of the 9 World Palaces was already within reach. Desolate Heaven Palace Lord and Xianyuan Palace Lord, listen up. You guys should have recorded down those who insulted Yi Qinyu earlier, right? Deal with them all. Qin Wenyin coldly spoke, directly issuing an order. Today, he killed the lifelong Realm Lord and naturally replaced him. In the supreme ancient immortal realms, a man must not be powerless. If not, his family and friends would all be bullied by others. Earlier, the lifelong Realm Lord bullying Yi Qinyu was an example. Hence, today he naturally had to clean things up properly, allowing the lifelong Realm Lord to become his backup force. Only then would he be able to set his heart at ease and pursue higher cultivation realms. Only by using iron-blooded methods would he be able to shock the hearts of others. Even those who insulted his women were treated with mercy, who would still place him, the new Realm Lord, in their eyes? The Desolate Heaven Palace Lord and Xianyuan Palace Lord acknowledged. They waved their hands and led their men to act against some of the major powers and experts, suppressing them with iron-blooded methods. The expressions of some people drastically changed, wanting to flee. Even ants wanted to live, they naturally wanted to live as well. But how could they escape? There was no problem for them to be loyal to the lifelong Realm Lord. For example, the Zheng Metal Palace Lord, Qin Wenyin, would let him go. As for those powers that didn't directly obey the lifelong Realm Lord, Qin Wenyin naturally wouldn't bother with them. However, Insulting Yi Qinyu was the greatest mistake of these people. They shouldn't have used such a method to curry favor with the lifelong Realm Lord. The hearts of countless people trembled. A massacre occurred right before the eyes of everyone. Many people were killed on the spot. After the cleanup, the desolate Heaven Palace Lord came to the side of Qin Wenyin and bowed. "This subordinate has a request. I hope Realm Lord Qin can agree to it." "Speak." Qin Wenyin nodded. "Concubine Lu insulted the woman I love. I want her to die." Huang Zhan spoke. "You can go. I will leave Fairy Biyue to you." Qin Wenyin spoke. Since Huang Zhan was willing to follow him, wasn't it because of this matter? He wouldn't interfere, he would let Huang Zhan handle everything himself. "Concubine Lu, prepare to die." Huang Zhan directly stepped out, moving towards Concubine Lu, who had already turned pale. Before this, how imposing was she? She was the beloved concubine of the lifelong Realm Lord and had great authority in the harem. But now, the lifelong Realm Lord has fallen. The one who suffered the most was none other than his women. Although Concubine Lu was also an Empyrean, how could she be a match for Huang Zhan, the #1 palace lord of the 9 world palaces? She was killed on the spot. After killing him, Huang Zhan walked towards Fairy Biyue. Staring at Huang Zhan, tears flowed down Fairy Biyue's face. Her heart was incomparably complicated. The man before her was the man she loved, but everything had changed. Right now, she only felt pain. "Biyue, can you follow me in the future?" Huang Zhan spoke. He was an Empyrean, what kind of woman wouldn't he be able to obtain? But even though Biyue was already the lifelong Realm Lord's woman and had even given birth to a son, Huang Zhan still didn't despise her. From this, one could see that his feelings for her were indeed true. If not, why would he follow Qin Wenyin and participate in this rebellion? Huang Zhan could accept this, but Fairy Biyue couldn't. She shook her head unceasingly. She couldn't face all of this. She could only turn and fly towards the lifelong Saint Hall. Huang Zhan stared at her back as his heart was filled with complicated emotions. "Realm Lord Qin, now that the lifelong Realm Lord has died, the lifelong realm will naturally be under your control from now on. This subordinate requests for Realm Lord Qin to take over and change the name of the lifelong realm." At this moment, the Xianyuan Palace Lord bowed to Qin Wenyin. The lifelong Realm Lord has governed the lifelong realm for many years, but now that the dynasty has changed, the lifelong realm naturally had to have a new name. Right now, this world belonged to Qin Wenyin. Qin Wenyan's eyes flashed. The lifelong realm really had to change its name. He fell silent for a moment before he asked, "Xianyuan Palace Lord, do you have any suggestions?" "I wonder if the Realm Lord has a title?" the Xianyuan Palace Lord asked. "Title?" Qin Wenyin did have a title in Azure Mystic, the Heaven Empyrean. However, it wasn't suitable here. The lifelong Realm Lord used his cultivation base and methods to give himself a title. What about him? The Light Flame Realm Lord? That didn't seem too good. In addition, he hasn't comprehended his own world heart yet. Right now, his title was just a title. Qin Wenyin turned his gaze over, staring at Little Rascal, Jun Mingchen, and the others. After that, his gaze landed on Qin, who has stepped into the Empyrean realm, also requested to fight with him today. Her magnificence was unparalleled, but she stood silently at the side. Today, he killed the lifelong Realm Lord for Yi Qinyu and Princess Kitamura. However, what did he give to Qing and Qingqing? Also, not long ago, he kept saying that Yi Qinyu was his woman. Duer was at the side and heard it. Upon thinking of this, Qin Wenyin instantly made a decision in his heart. Since he killed the lifelong Realm Lord for Yi Qinyu and Princess Kitamura, in that case, the lifelong realm's name shall be given to Qing and Qingqing. His gaze turned to the crowd as he spoke. From now onwards, the lifelong realm shall be renamed as the Qingqing realm. My title shall be the Qingqing Realm Lord. The two words Qingqing were derived from Qing and Qingqing. One person, one word, and the two words were also a homonym for Qingqing. Also, he himself was given the title of Qingqing Realm Lord to prove his heart. He Qing and Qingqing were inseparable. Qingqing Realm Lord. Everyone mumbled. To the vast majority of people, They didn't know the meaning behind the two words Qingqing. This name wasn't tyrannical, but those who knew could understand Qin Wentian's intentions. This was especially so for those from Azure Mystic. Everyone knew that Qin Wentian gave up the tyrannical title of the Heaven Empyrean and chose the Qingqing Realm Lord as his title in the supreme ancient immortal realms. From now onwards, this name might follow Qin Wentian for a very long time. In fact, his name might even resound through the boundless regions. If that day came, this title would surely become a beautiful story. Qing Er's beautiful eyes flashed when she heard this title. Her eyelashes fluttered as a hint of warmth flashed in her heart. We pay our respects to the Qingqing Realm Lord. The Xinyuan Palace Lord reacted very quickly. He immediately bowed and called out, "We pay our respects to the Qingqing Realm Lord." Everyone bowed. After that, their voices rang out through the heavens and earth. Everyone below bowed. From today onwards, the Qingqing Realm Lord will replace the lifelong Realm Lord, becoming the overlord of this vast region. Qin Wentian turned his gaze to everyone below as he spoke. From now on, the lifelong realm will no longer exist. Its name will be changed to the Qingqing Realm. This matter will be passed down through the 9 world palaces. Right now, I will appoint new world palace lords and change the names of the 9 world palaces. The lifelong realm changed its name. The 9 world palaces naturally had to change their names as well. For example, the Sky Air Palace. It was impossible for Qin Wentian to allow the name Sky Air Palace to continue existing. Qin Wentian's words caused many people to be filled with anticipation. Would a new world palace lord be born? This would change the structure of the Qingqing realm in the future. The Desolate Heaven Palace, Xinyuan Palace, and Gemini Palace will remain the same. The 3 world palace lords will remain the same. The Sky Air Palace will be renamed to the Battle Saint Palace, and Qiyu will be the Battle Saint Palace Lord. Qin Wentian gave out the first order after becoming a world overlord. The Battle Saint tribe was a taboo, and it naturally wasn't appropriate to name the new world palace as the Battle Saint Palace. The Battle Saint Palace was more suitable, and this world palace would naturally be governed by people from the Battle Saint tribe. The Dragon Saddle Palace will be renamed to the Southern Phoenix Palace. The Scarlet Origin Palace will be renamed to the Dark North Palace. The Jengmetal Palace will be renamed to the GD Palace. The Kungvuda Palace will be renamed to the Myriad Devil Palace, and the Lifefire Palace will be renamed to the Jialan Palace. Qin Wentian continued. These names were all too familiar to the people of Azure Mystic. Even if Qin Wentian didn't say anything, they all understood who the new world palace lord would be. There was no suspense in the names of the previous world palaces. The Myriad Devil Palace should be the Bai Qing who had the closest relationship with Qin Wentian. As for the Jialan Palace, it would naturally be the Jialan clan. Naturally, there were still many people who followed Qin Wentian to the supreme ancient immortal realms who hadn't been appointed. However, there were only so many positions, and he could only temporarily arrange it this way. The Hokage Sengoku Kingdom was in an alliance with the Jadestige Pavilion and the 100 Refinements sect in Azure Mystic. In that case, Qin Wentian would allow them to govern the Dark North Palace together. As for this name, it was naturally because he wanted to take care of Princess Kitamura's father. With regards to this point, those who weren't taken care of wouldn't say anything. Princess Kitamura's relationship with Qin Wentian was clear to all. Also, back then, Princess Kitamura and Qin Wentian came to the supreme ancient immortal realms to temper themselves, and they had even almost sacrificed themselves. As for the Chongqing the Great, Jun Mengchen, Little Rascal, Purgatory, Bai Wuya and the others, Qin Wentian planned to let them stay in the lifelong Saint Hall. Naturally, the name of the lifelong Saint Hall was also changed to Lifelong City. Lifelong City was changed to Qingqing City, just nice to complement his new title, Qingqing Realm Lord. This Qingqing City was naturally handed over to Chongqing the Great. The name of the lifelong realm was changed to Qingqing Realm. 6 of the 9 world palaces were renamed to Battle Saint Palace, Southern Phoenix Palace, Dark North Palace, GD Palace, Myriad Devil Palace, and Xinyuan Palace. From now on, the lifelong realm no longer existed. The Qingqing Realm Lord stood tall in the supreme ancient immortal realms. And in the supreme ancient immortal realms, A new titled world overlord appeared. The Qingqing Realm Lord. Chapter 1753. The lifelong Realm Lord was destroyed, Qingqing was rebuilt, the 9 world palaces were reorganized and the winds and clouds of the world changed. However, there were still many things that have yet to be settled. For example, those clans and powers that were punished, as well as the loyal followers of the lifelong Realm Lord, and even the powers of the lifelong Saint Hall. Realm Lord, how should we deal with these two? Also, the Qingqing Saint Hall. The Xinyuan Palace Lord spoke. His gaze turned to the 2 concubines of the lifelong Realm Lord. Before this, they were lofty existences, receiving the worship of the lifelong Realm Lord. How glorious was that! But now, they were the same as concubine Lu, their statuses were extremely awkward. Xinyuan Palace Lord, what do you think? Qin Wentian asked. Earlier, Changxing was disrespectful to Madame Yi. Realm Lord once said that he wants the 2 of them to dance together. The Xinyuan Palace Lord suggested. The expressions of the 2 fairies changed, becoming extremely unsightly to behold. Before this, their statuses were transcendent and even the Xinyuan Palace Lord had to bow when he saw them. But now, he actually dared to humiliate them like this? However, they also understood that the situation was different now. Before this, their men insulted Qin Wentian's women. But now, Qin Wentian killed their men. What would their fates be? Before this, the lifelong Realm Lord had said that if he killed Qin Wentian, he would take care of Qin Wentian's women. Qin Wentian glanced at the Xinyuan Palace Lord but he didn't reply. He turned to the 2 maidens and asked, "How do you 2 think I should deal with the 2 of you?" The expressions of the 2 beautiful maidens changed. They bit their lips lightly, feeling extremely wronged, giving off a feeling that they were extremely charming. One of them bowed and spoke, "I'm willing to serve the Qingqing Realm Lord and be a slave or a maid." Right now, they only wanted to survive. At this moment, they had to give up their pride. For the sake of survival, serving Qin Wentian was nothing much. After all, this man was even more outstanding compared to the lifelong Realm Lord. I'm not as despicable as the lifelong Realm Lord. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. It was impossible for him to accept these maidens of the lifelong Realm Lord. He was very clear in his heart what it meant to be a slave. Huangzhan, I'll give you a mission. Investigate clearly which maidens in the lifelong Realm Lord's harem was forced by him. Release them and release them. As for those maidens who were willing, as well as the descendants of the lifelong Realm Lord, let them live as ordinary people. Qin Wentian spoke. The people below nodded when they heard Qin Wentian. Before this, the words the lifelong Realm Lord spoke to Qin Wentian could be said to be extremely ruthless. However, after Qin Wentian killed him, he didn't take revenge. Qin Wentian released the women who were harmed and crippled the cultivation bases of the others. Although this was a little ruthless, he was already showing mercy. He didn't start a massacre and didn't even kill a single person. In the world of cultivation, who didn't know that cutting the weeds and pulling out the roots? If one wasn't ruthless to their enemies, they would be the one dying. Qin Wentian didn't care about revenge. But what about his family? What about his friends and family? The lifelong Realm Lord would surely have many women and children. Once one of them grew up and hid in the dark to take revenge on his family and friends, wouldn't he regret it for the rest of his life? Letting them live as ordinary people was already sparing them. If it was the lifelong Realm Lord who killed him, he would definitely be more vicious than him. However, Qin Wentian didn't intend to take revenge just because of this. If that was the case, there would be no difference between him and the lifelong Realm Lord. Your subordinate obeys. Huangzhan bowed. Qin Wentian nodded. He glanced at the crowd below and spoke. Today, everyone can temporarily leave. The grand banquet this time around has been spoiled. However, I will announce to the world that 3 months later, the Qingqing realm will hold its first grand banquet. At that time, there would be even more competitions and the rewards would be even more bountiful compared to the past. Everyone, please come again to watch the banquet. The grand banquet will be held 3 months later? The eyes of many people gleamed with sharpness. This trip was truly worthwhile. Not only did they manage to witness a heaven-shaking battle that changed dynasties, they would even be able to witness the first grand banquet of the Qingqing realm 3 months later. They understood the meaning of this banquet. Back then, Qin Wendian succeeded the Li-Fire Empyrean after killing him. But this time around, things were different. He had completely replaced the lifelong Realm Lord, changing the name of the Qingqing realm. The first grand banquet of the Qingqing realm would only be more lively compared to the past. One could predict that this would definitely be a grand banquet. During these 3 months, everyone should reorganize yourselves and control your own world palace as well. At the same time, I will have to trouble everyone to announce this to the world. Qin Wendian stared at the new world palace controller in the air as he spoke. We will naturally do our best. Jialon Jiangshan bowed, feeling gratitude in his heart towards Qin Wendian. Right now, Qin Wendian's status was completely different from before. This time around, Qin Wendian didn't make use of their Jialon clan and was truly considerate of them. He directly changed the name of the Li-Fire Palace to the Jialon Palace, and the new World Palace Lord would naturally be him, the leader of the Jialon clan. In addition, Qin Wendian intentionally handed the Li-Fire Palace over to them because the Jialon clan's foundation was in Li-Fire City. In the past, Qin Wendian was the one who governed the Li-Fire Palace. It was very easy for him to take over and there wouldn't be any problems. Jialon Yuntian and Jialon Yunhai exchanged mutual glances. The dream of the Jialon clan has always been realized. From now onwards, the Jialon clan would become a world palace lord, a marquis of an area. They could properly temper the members of their clan. If it wasn't for Jialon Chuyue, I'm afraid we would have missed this opportunity again. In fact, we might even stand on the lifelong Realm Lord's side. Jialon Yuntian silently mused. He glanced at his granddaughter, but he noticed that Jialon Chuyue's beautiful eyes were fixated on Qin Wendian. He helplessly shook his head. Regardless of Di Tian or Qin Wendian, both of them were too outstanding. There was no young woman who wouldn't be moved by them. Disperse. Qin Wendian waved his hands. The crowd only felt that they wanted to continue, but since Qin Wendian has spoken, they could only leave. Everyone gradually dispersed. Qin Wendian came to Yi's side and spoke. Senior, it took you so long to come over. I apologize for my lack of manners. Qin Wendian was still very respectful towards Yi. No matter what his current status was, a few hundred years ago when he was still at the Celestial Phenomenon realm, he had already heard of Yi's legend. He inherited the power of God's hand. To Qin Wendian, no matter what his future status was, he would still be very respectful towards Yi. He smiled and shook his head. In the past, I didn't feel it. But today, I suddenly feel that I've aged. Qin Wendian started. After that, a bitter smile appeared on his face. Compared to Yi, he was truly too young. Senior, please don't say that. I've heard of Senior's legend all the way here. Qin Wendian spoke. Now that you mention it, I feel even older. He rolled his eyes. Qin Wendian had a face filled with black lines. It seemed that he had said the wrong thing. Ah! Upon seeing the awkward expression on Qin Wendian's face, he stretched out his hand and patted Qin Wendian on his shoulder. There are geniuses in every generation. I'm very happy to see that someone who came from Azure Mystic has such accomplishments. Because Azure Mystic was sealed for so many years, we lost contact with the outside world and also lacked resources. This caused many people to have extraordinary talent, but they didn't receive proper nurturing during their innate growth period. Their potential is inferior to others, and it's extremely rare for geniuses to appear. You are a miracle, and I can see that you have also brought many geniuses out from Azure Mystic. I feel very proud of you. Senior praises me too much. Qin Wendian knew in his heart that this wasn't due to his efforts. If it wasn't for the heavenly deities of ancient Azure Mystic, he wouldn't have the ability to bring out an army of Empyreans. You should go and busy yourself with your own matters first. There's no need to care about me. I will stay here for a few days, and 3 months later, I will come back and ask for a cup of wine from you. He laughed. Sure, it's a deal, Senior. Qin Wendian smiled and nodded. He went to the side of Emperor Yu. When old friends met, there were many emotions in their hearts. However, Emperor Yu was now a follower of Qin Wenyin. It was naturally impossible for him to follow Yi. They wouldn't do this. This was a form of respect to Qin Wenyin. The people of the Gemini Palace and many experts from the Battle Saint tribe gathered together. Right now, their Battle Saint tribe would be in control of two world palaces, the Battle Saint Palace and Gemini Palace. Qin Wenyin brought his people into the lifelong Saint Hall and reorganized the place. After that, he handed everything over to the desolate Heaven Empyrean and Xianyuan Empyrean while he himself returned to the Lifire Palace after the Great Battle. He didn't like to deal with such trivial matters. It was fine for him to leave these matters to his subordinates. Qin Wenyin naturally brought Yi Qianyu back to the Lifire Palace. The first meeting between Yi Qianyu, Qing'er and Qingqing wasn't as awkward as Qin Wenyin imagined. Yi Qianyu was extremely warm and cordial to Qing'er and Qingqing. What sort of characters were Qingqing and Qing'er? Since Yi Qianyu was now Qin Wentian's woman and had made many sacrifices for Qin Wenyin, they were naturally willing to accept her. The three supreme beauties all had their own magnificence and they soon got along well with each other. On the contrary, they even chased Qin Wenyin out of the Lifire Palace, causing Qin Wenyin to complain in a depressed manner. No matter what, he was already the Qingqing realm lord. Wasn't this a little too embarrassing? Mo Qingqing had a complacent smile on her face as she replied. Since this place was named the Qingqing realm lord, wouldn't it be up to her and Qing'er to make the decisions? How would Qin Wenyin dare to say no? He could only cover his face and leave, sighing at the fact that it was easy to conquer a world but hard to govern a harem. These three beauties all had their own unique charms staying in the Lifire Palace while he was chased away. The Southern Phoenix Matriarch, the Dark North Immortal Emperor and the others were all the rulers of the major powers below them. They had always been characters with towering authority and there was no need to mention their methods. Now that they were in control of the 9 world palaces, Qin Wenyin wasn't worried that they wouldn't be able to control the 9 world palaces. After the reorganization, the lifelong realm was renamed to the Qingqing Realm Lord. The news of the lifelong realm being renamed to the Qingqing Realm Lord as well as 6 of the 9 world palaces started to circulate through the world. The battle at the 100-year banquet where the Qingqing Realm Lord, Qin Wenyin, killed the lifelong Realm Lord was already known by everyone. Countless people were discussing about this on the streets and alleys. A legendary character was currently displaying his brilliance, rising up in the supreme ancient immortal Realm Lord. Very swiftly, the news that the Qingqing Realm Lord would be hosting the first banquet also circulated. More and more people rushed to Qingqing, wanting to meet the legendary character who killed the lifelong Realm Lord in a single battle. He only used 100 years to advance from the immortal Emperor realm to the World Overlord realm. First, he was a governor of the Lifire Palace, then he became the Lifire Empyrean, and finally, he became the Qingqing Realm Lord. There were people who said that the name Qingqing Realm Lord wasn't tyrannical at all. Those in the know snorted disdainfully, mocking them for being ignorant. The name of the Qingqing Realm Lord was derived from the names of both of Qin Wentian's wives. Qin Wentian himself was titled the Qingqing Realm Lord. What kind of relationship was this? This caused countless beauties in the world to be envious. Chapter 1754. The first grand banquet of the Qingqing realm was held as scheduled. Today, people from all directions gathered here. The outside of the Qingqing Saint Hall was packed to the brim. The number of people here was countless times more compared to the grand banquet 3 months ago. Right now, Qin Wenyin has already moved into the Qingqing Saint Hall. Everything here has been settled by the desolate Heaven Palace and Xianyuan Palace Lord. The 9 World Palace Lords have also been reorganized and the various World Palace Lords ascended their thrones, wielding great authority. Outside the Qingqing Saint Hall, Qin Wenyin sat on the throne that was 10,000 feet high. Beside him were 4 beauties. Mo Qingqing and Qing'er sat on his left and right while Yi Qianyu and Princess Kitamura sat next to him. The 4 beauties all had different demeanors but they were all incomparably beautiful. Countless people stared at Mo Qingqing and Qing'er. Right now, everyone in the Qingqing realm already knew that the 2 words Qingqing, came from these two women. They were the wives of the Qingqing realm lord, Qin Wenyin. It was rumored that their relationship was extremely deep and they have been together for many years. They were childhood sweethearts, going through life and death together, going through trials and tribulations together until today. Hence, they sat on the left and right of Qin Wenyin, receiving the worship of the people from all directions. This was something Qin Wenyin had promised them before. One day when he controls a world, he would definitely make Mo Qingqing and Qing follow him and receive the worship of the people from all directions. The Qingqing realm lord has already publicly announced that Yi Qinyu was also his woman. However, even someone as beautiful as Yi Qinyu was still unable to replace the positions of the two of them in the Qingqing realm lord's heart. This point was clear just by looking at the seats they were seated in. As for Princess Kitamura, everyone had many speculations. This was especially so when they saw her seat right now. However, since the Qingqing realm lord actually publicly announced that there was no such relationship between him and Princess Kitamura, there shouldn't be any falsehood. Given his status, there was no need for him to lie. Also, back then when he fought against the lifelong realm lord, he had already said that a man of character wouldn't even dare to acknowledge his own woman. However, even if they were not related, everyone guessed that they had gone through many trials and tribulations together. Perhaps they had feelings for each other. In the direction of the 9 World Palace Lords, many people smiled at the Dark North Immortal Emperor. He had the chance to become Qin Wentian's father-in-law, just like the Longevity Immortal Emperor. Of course, this was only a possibility. No one could confirm the relationship between Qin Wentian and Princess Kitamura. Today, the first grand banquet of the Qingqing realm will be held. Since everyone can come here to spectate, this can be considered a form of affirmation for me. 3 months ago, I've already said that the banquet this time around would only be better compared to the past banquets in the lifelong realm. Everyone can enjoy the delicacies and wine as they please. I won't be stingy at all. In addition, for those at the Immortal Foundation realm and above, there will be a competition at every level. The competition will be held on the 9 towering platforms at the same time. As long as you are here, you can participate. It isn't limited to people from the 9 world palaces. You can also be from the various major powers or unaffiliated cultivators. Anyone in the world can participate. For those who can rank in the top 10, I will heavily reward them. Qin Wenyin then spoke. For those who rank in the top 3, if they are willing to take me as their master, I will let the World Palace Lords of the 9 World Palaces choose one of them to be their disciple. When everyone heard this, the eyes of many gleamed with anticipation. However, when they thought about how intense the competition this time around would be, many people felt disappointed. Most probably, they wouldn't have a chance. However, this time around, the Qingqing Realm Lord did indeed give many geniuses a chance. In fact, there were even people who could directly enter the tutelage of the World Palace Lords. Leaving aside the rewards given by the Qingqing Realm Lord, just the conditions alone were sufficient to cause the hearts of many to be moved. Immortal Foundation experts also have a chance. Many juniors at the Immortal Foundation realm clenched their fists in excitement. This time around, they definitely had to fight for it. To many people, this was an opportunity to ascend to the heavens with a single step, directly becoming a core character of the Qingqing realm. Right now, the World Palace Lords of the 9 World Palaces were all trusted aides of the Qingqing Realm Lord. As long as one became a disciple of one of the World Palace Lords, they would have a chance to come into contact with the Qingqing Realm Lord in the future. Everyone, there's no need to feel restrained. Just enjoy this banquet to your heart's content. Next, I will just quietly be a spectator. Everything will be arranged by the World Palace Lords. Qin Wendian smiled. He was originally already extremely young and handsome. This smile of his gave people the feeling of a spring breeze. Many people sighed in admiration. The charm of the Qingqing Realm Lord surpassed the lifelong Realm Lord by countless times. He would definitely be able to insta-kill him. This smile of his caused many beauties to be dazed. Today, many young misses from the major powers of the Qingqing realm had arrived. They heard that the Qingqing Realm Lord was infatuated with love and was also extremely young and handsome. Hence, they came over to take a look out of curiosity. After they saw him, they were even more envious of Mo Qingqing and Qing Er, being able to accompany him by his side. The lifelong Realm Lord's harem was as many as the clouds. Right now, as the Qingqing Realm Lord, Qin Wenyan only had 3 beauties accompanying him. If the Qingqing Realm Lord was willing, many beauties from the major powers would be willing to marry him. They heard that the Qingqing Realm Lord, Qin Wenyan, has cultivated for less than 1,000 years and was even younger than many immortal kings. It was impossible for the Qingqing realm to find such an outstanding young man. The Red Dust Immortal Palace took the initiative to perform a beautiful dance. This time around, the beauties who performed the dance were all willing. Many among them were envious of Yi Qinyu, being able to accompany a legendary character like the Qingqing Realm Lord. Senior Yi Wenyan offers you a toast. When the banquet started, Qin Wenyan really quietly became a spectator. He toasted Emperor Yi, who was seated not far away from him. He arranged for Emperor Yi to be seated in the same row as him. This was naturally a sign of respect for Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi's existence was also something that many people admired. Today, they finally met 2 world overlords. Wen Yian, now that you have already caught up to me, there's no need to refer to me as senior. You can just refer to me as Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi spoke. I'm already used to it. After all, in my heart, Senior Yi has always been a senior character. Qin Wenyan smiled. All right, it's up to you then. I wonder how many people would be moved by your words earlier. Seems like you truly have the heart to nurture the juniors of the Qingqing realm. Emperor Yi laughed. This world has never lacked geniuses. If there are truly people with outstanding talent and character, why not nurture them well? In the future, they would surely be able to become famous characters. Qin Wenyan laughed. That's only natural. In the past, Changxing didn't do so because of his selfishness. He has a strong desire for power and he wouldn't want to see anyone in this world surpass him. He is still too narrow-minded. If he treats people sincerely, so what if there are people who surpass him? People would still respect him and wouldn't have any thoughts of replacing him. After all, at the world overlord's level, there are many things one can pursue. That's true. Wen Yian, given your talent, I'm sure you wouldn't be limited to this, right? Although the Qingqing realm is vast and boundless, it's already sufficient for someone like the lifelong Realm Lord. But to you, I feel that it's still too small. You should look for a wider world. Emperor Yi spoke. Enichim, Qin Wenyan nodded. This was only natural. Right now, although I've comprehended a Heaven Heart mandate and have the title of the Qingqing Realm Lord, Senior should know that I haven't completely stepped into the World Overlord realm yet. Next, I'm preparing to focus on my cultivation until I establish my World Heart and step into the World Overlord realm. At the same time, I also want to understand the situation in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. Qin Wenyan spoke. This was his plan. The Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms were simply too vast. He wouldn't undervalue himself, but he wouldn't be arrogant and conceited either. Qin Wenyan broadened his horizons in the ancient battlefield and saw all sorts of powerful Heaven Heart mandates. He naturally knew that the lifelong Realm Lord was merely one of the weaker world overlords. Although his current strength was sufficient to kill the lifelong Realm Lord, it was still insufficient in the outside world. If he encountered a world overlord who had comprehended a Heaven Heart mandate, he most probably wouldn't be a match for them. For the world overlord realm, there were no specific cultivation realms. Because the disparity between world overlords could be boundlessly vast. There was basically no way to include all the different cultivation realms. Good thinking. However, now that you are in control of an entire world, you have to be able to endure the loneliness. He laughed. With such great authority, Qin Wenyan could do whatever he wanted to do. He was unrestrained and no one could control him. He could enjoy life to his heart's content and even roam the world. As for cultivation, it was something extremely boring. To me, cultivation is also a form of pleasure. Qin Wenyan smiled as he replied. His gaze turned to the crowd. Right now, the Qingqing realm has been unified and he has become the world overlord. He has truly stabilized his footing in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Next, there would be a period of stability, and this period of time was extremely suitable for cultivation. There were still many places in the ancient battlefield he wanted to visit. How could he possibly feel bored? Every day of cultivation would be extremely fascinating. He was prepared to use a very long period of time to comprehend the secret realms in the ancient battlefield and break through to the world overlord realm. Treating cultivation as pleasure is also a type of realm. He smiled and shook his head. He couldn't do it. No wonder his talent wasn't as high as Qin Wentian's. At this moment, Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. After that, he frowned and stared in the distance together with it. At this moment, a group of figures could be seen flying over from afar, gradually getting nearer and nearer. This group of people was extremely majestic, and there were several Empyreans in the lead. Countless people below inclined their heads and stared at this group of people. Today, the Qingqing Realm Lord was hosting a grand banquet, but there were actually people who directly flew into the air. This was an extremely impolite behavior. There were actually people in the Qingqing realm who were so audacious? I pay my respects to the Qingqing Realm Lord Qin Wenyan. The person in the lead clasped his hands to Qin Wenyan. This indicated that his attitude wasn't that respectful. Where are you all from? Qin Wenyan stared at him with a calm expression. We are from the Heavenly Talisman Realm. We heard that Realm Lord Qin killed the lifelong Realm Lord and ascended to the position of Realm Lord. The Heavenly Talisman Realm Lord specially sent us seniors to congratulate you. That person laughed. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. The Heavenly Talisman Realm and the lifelong Realm Lord were neighbors. Their information network was extremely fast. I've received it. You guys can leave now. Qin Wentian directly chased them away. Since the attitude of the people from the Heavenly Talisman Realm wasn't polite, there was naturally no need for him to be polite as well. Realm Lord Qin can be considered to be from the same sect as us. Why is there a need to be so distant? Speaking of which, although Realm Lord Qin is a world overlord now, you can be considered my junior apprentice brother. My master, the Heavenly Talisman Realm Lord, intentionally sent me here to congratulate you. That person laughed, his words instantly causing a huge commotion in the crowd. The Qingqing Realm Lord, Qin Wenyan, was the disciple of the Heavenly Talisman Realm Lord? Scram. Qin Wenyan only replied with a single word. That person had a cold smile on his face and wanted to say more. Qin Wenyan continued, if you dare to speak one more word, I will kill you. That person's expression instantly turned ugly to behold. He coldly laughed as he stared at Qin Wenyan. Farewell. After speaking, he directly brought his people away. Seems like they came here purely to discuss Qin Wenyan. In the lower world, Qin Wenyan was someone who spoiled the plans of the Heavenly Talisman Realm. Clearly, this matter has already been circulated to the supreme ancient Heavenly Talisman Realm. When everyone saw Qin Wentian's attitude, they instantly knew that there must be something they didn't know about. If not, since Qin Wenyan was so respectful to a senior like Yi, how could he not respect his master? Although they were curious about this matter, it wasn't something they should be thinking about. It was better for them to enjoy this banquet properly. In the future, they might have a chance to find out more. There's no need to bother about it. Everyone, please continue. Qin Wenyan waved his hands as he spoke. The experts here nodded and the banquet of the Qingqing realm continued. What happened earlier was merely a minor setback. It didn't affect the banquet at all. Chapter 1755. The grand banquet of the Qingqing realm concluded perfectly. Many geniuses appeared at the Immortal Emperor realm, Immortal King realm, and Immortal Foundation realm. There were many outstanding geniuses at the Immortal Foundation realm, especially at the Immortal Foundation realm because there were 9 levels to Immortal Foundation. Qin Wenyan gave everyone a chance and all of them received generous rewards. There were also some who joined the 9 world palaces, and there were even a few who became the personal disciples of the world palace lords, causing countless people to feel envy. The grand banquet ended and everyone dispersed reluctantly. They stayed for a long time in the city before departing. However, Qin Wentian's image remained in their minds. This was especially so for the younger generations. They were filled with reverence and yearning. When would they be able to be like the Qingsheng realm lord Qin Wenin, exuding boundless magnificence, ruling over an entire region, bringing beauties with him to ascend to the throne? How glorious would that be? After the grand banquet of the Qingsheng realm ended, Qin Wenyan told the various world palaces to continue reorganizing the affairs of the 9 world palaces. Although 3 months was sufficient for them to take over the 9 world palaces, it was impossible for them to manage everything properly. There were still many places in the 9 world palaces that were in chaos because of the death of the lifelong realm lord and the other world palace lords. An example was the many mines in the Qingsheng realm. These mines were the foundation of the Qingsheng realm and were a place of wealth. They had to control them well, as these mines would be able to provide them with an endless supply of cultivation resources. Right now, Qin Wenyan wasn't merely cultivating alone, he had many followers. If he wanted everyone's cultivation base to catch up to him, other than having heavenly deities to guide them, resources were also indispensable. After everything was settled, Di Tian returned from the lower world and came to the Qingsheng realm to manage this place. The desolate Heaven Palace, Shenyuan Palace, Jialan clan and the other world palace lords were his assistants. As for Qin Wenyan himself, he brought his beloved wife and his friends and elders back to the lower world. Back then at the grand banquet of the Qingsheng realm, to Qin Wenyan, it was merely a small interlude. It was impossible for him to act against the heavenly talisman realm just because of a message sent by the realm lord. That would be too irrational. Before this, he had already told Emperor Yi that now that he has already stabilized his footing in the supreme ancient immortal realms, the most important thing now was to completely step into the world overlord realm. The azure mystic immortal realms was now peaceful and no one dared to cause trouble. The storm in the ancient battlefield gradually calmed down and there were no longer as many experts as before. However, there were still some people with extraordinary statuses who descended to the ancient battlefield. However, they were not as high profile as before and were quietly searching for good fortune. The winds and clouds of the world changed, tens of years passed by in the blink of an eye. Tens of years to the supreme ancient immortal realms were extremely short, and even to Azure Mystic, it couldn't be considered much. But in the past few decades, Qin Wenyan and the others had made great progress. Today, Qin Wenyan came out from the Myriad Law Hall. He shook his head in a depressed manner. The skybreak heavenly deity transformed into a shadow and appeared beside him. He smiled. "How is it? Did you feel good?" "Senior, you're still teasing me." Qin Wenyan bitterly smiled. The world of 10,000 laws wasn't merely a place for one to comprehend and cultivate. It was also a place for sparring and combat. Those monument spirits were all spiritual bodies and each of them had a heaven heart mandate, allowing them to unleash immense power. When they fought against those who entered the world of 10,000 laws, they could personally feel the power of their heaven heart mandates. Qin Wenyan would often enter the world of 10,000 laws to spar. Right now, he has already comprehended quite a few heaven heart mandates and felt that he was extraordinary. Ordinary world overlords wouldn't be his opponent. But in the world of 10,000 laws, he was still defeated. It was still fine at the start as he could barge his way through. But at the end, when some powerful heaven heart mandates appeared, he could only be abused. His situation was actually no different from the Empyrean realm in the past. He would die instantly. You have already improved greatly. Being able to comprehend so many types of heaven heart mandates in such a short period of time, your talent is truly rare. Next, I will wait for you to comprehend your world heart. The skybreak heavenly deity laughed. How is your comprehension of your world heart now? I'm still in the midst of trying to comprehend it. I have no idea when I will be able to break through. Qin Wenyan replied. Emichim, there's no need to be too anxious. Given your talent and comprehension abilities, you will naturally succeed when the conditions are right. To comprehend a world heart, you would rather spend more time to comprehend an even stronger world heart. In that case, you would be able to save many years of cultivation time in the future and would be many times stronger compared to those world overlords who casually comprehended a world heart. The skybreak heavenly deity spoke. He wouldn't have such a requirement for ordinary people, but it was different for Qin Wenyan. His requirement was very high, extremely high. He hoped that Qin Wentian's world heart would shock the world with a single feat. What the skybreak heavenly deity hoped for was that it was fine if Qin Wenyan didn't become a world overlord. But once he did, he would be a transcendent level world overlord and would be able to insta-kill those ordinary world overlords. Qin Wentian nodded. A world heart was truly very difficult. To him now, it was much easier to comprehend heaven heart mandates. Naturally, this was because his requirement was too high, or he would have long since comprehended a world heart and stepped into the world overlord realm. However, he wasn't willing to make do with this. Oh yeah, let me tell you a piece of bad news. It said that Princess Kitamura is already trying to break through to the world overlord realm. She might break through before you. The skybreak heavenly deity laughed. A strange look appeared on Qin Wentian's face. After that, a smile appeared on his face. He was naturally happy that Baiming Yuhuang's talent was good. In addition, Princess Kitamura's requirement wasn't as high as his. Baiming Yuhuang, who has already comprehended a heaven heart mandate, was preparing to directly comprehend a world heart. After that, she would be considered to have truly stepped into the world overlord realm. Just as they were speaking, in an extremely far-away place, a powerful beam of cold light radiated forth. That area seemed to have transformed into a world of ice and snow. Qin Wenyan and the skybreak heavenly deity both turned their gazes over there. Ice and snow danced in the air as the world transformed into a world of white frost, pure and flawless. A beautiful figure appeared in that world of ice and snow. She was like a goddess, radiating a dazzling light, pure as ice and as clean as jade. This was none other than Princess Kitamura. I was just saying that I'm about to break through. Who would have thought that it would actually come true? As expected, she is ahead of you. The skybreak heavenly deity laughed. Qin Wenyan stared at that beautiful figure as a smile flickered in his eyes. He was naturally happy to see Baiming Yuhuang breaking through. A world overlord had appeared by his side. In the future, there would be even more world overlords like Qing, Mengchen, Little Rascal and the others. He was truly filled with anticipation. Let's go! Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he flew towards that resplendent world of ice and snow. Not only for him, many people also noticed the situation over there. All of them flew over, and not long after, many people arrived before Princess Kitamura. They only saw Princess Kitamura descending from the sky, exuding a holy and pure aura. Back then, the lifelong realm lord actually wanted to take Yuhuang as his concubine. How ridiculous! Given the lifelong realm lord's talent, how could he be worthy of Yuhuang? Let alone a concubine. Beside Baiming Yuhuang, there was an illusory figure that caused people to look up to her in awe. She was so sacred that no one dared to profane her. She was a true goddess, a heavenly deity. All the heavenly deities were very respectful to her, but they had never referred to her by her name. They didn't even know her title, nor did they talk about her. Only recently did Qin Wenyan learn from the skybreak heavenly deity that this goddess who guided Baiming Yuhuang had an extraordinary identity. She was actually the daughter of the imperishable heaven lord. Qin Wenyan was naturally happy that Baiming Yuhuang could receive her guidance and become her master. Baiming Yuhuang was taught the death scripture by that undying freak, and now, the daughter of the imperishable heaven lord was guiding Baiming Yuhuang. Everything seemed to be destined. Yuhuang, your cultivation base now is higher than mine. Qin Wenyan smiled. Princess Kitamura's beautiful eyes turned to Qin Wenyan. If you want to break through, you can do so anytime. You don't need to console me. I won't be jealous of you. Qin Wenyan joked. Yuhuang. The Dark North immortal emperor rushed over. When he saw his daughter, he felt joy in his heart. His daughter was actually already a world overlord character. This is all the credit of Master. Princess Kitamura glanced at the goddess beside her. If your comprehension abilities are bad, it's useless even if I guide you. The goddess was very calm. She calmly spoke, however, don't be complacent. Stepping into the world overlord realm is just the beginning. Next, you have to continue to change your world heart and make it stronger. I will listen to Master's teachings. Yu Huang nodded. You should gather with your friends first. The goddess spoke and left. Many people teased Qin Wendian, asking him when he would break through. After all, among everyone here, Qin Wendian's talent was undoubtedly the highest. But now, Yu Huang was the first to step into the world overlord realm. Qin Wendian felt that the pressure was extremely great. Next, Yu Huang naturally had to stabilize her world heart and condense her 8th astral soul. This was extremely important. After everyone gathered, they all left, not wanting to disturb Yu Huang's cultivation. Qin Wendian once again chose to enter closed-door seclusion. In the supreme ancient immortal realms, Di Tian roamed around the various mines of the Qingqing realm. His two bodies were both comprehending at the same time. Cultivation had no time. Unknowingly, many years passed. 100 years had already passed. 100 years wasn't long to the supreme ancient immortal realms. But to Qin Wendian, it was truly extremely long. He had never wholeheartedly devoted himself to cultivation before. But in order to break through to the world overlord realm, he actually used 100 years. From this, one could very well imagine how difficult it was for Qin Wendian to comprehend a transcendent world heart. In the Qingqing Saint Hall, the Xianyuan Palace Lord came to meet with Di Tian, asking if Qin Wendian has returned. After all, the grand banquet of the Qingqing realm was about to begin and the 9 world palaces were about to pay their taxes. In the Qingqing Saint Hall, Qin Wendian received him. Not only was Qin Wendian here, the Xianyuan Palace Lord also discovered that many world palace lords from the 9 world palaces were here as well. This caused the Xianyuan Palace Lord to sigh in admiration. These people were truly Qin Wendian's trusted aides. After hearing that they weren't around during these years, the Xianyuan Palace Lord was actually very curious about where Qin Wendian and the others went to. Did they go to the ancient battlefield again? However, he didn't dare to ask. Qin Wendian didn't take the initiative to tell him. He knew that he shouldn't ask. I pay my respects to Realm Lord. The Xianyuan Palace Lord spoke. I was just thinking if Realm Lord would participate in the 2nd grand banquet of the Qingqing realm. Seems like my worries were unnecessary. This time around I will leave the grand banquet to you all. I will just take a look. However, Xianyuan Palace Lord, I just received an invitation. Qin Wendian spoke. What invitation? The Xianyuan Palace Lord asked. Take a look for yourself. Qin Wendian waved his hand. An extremely exquisite and resplendent invitation flew towards the Xianyuan Palace Lord. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the words on the invitation. His heart involuntarily trembled. There were only 4 words engraved on the invitation. Convention of the Myriad Realms. Chapter 1756. When Qin Wendian saw the reaction of the Xianyuan Palace Lord, he knew that the Xianyuan Palace Lord knew about the Convention of the Myriad Realms. He then asked, Xianyuan Palace Lord, do you have any understanding of this convention? I know a little, but this subordinate doesn't have the qualifications to come into contact with it. The Convention of the Myriad Realms is a peak-level event even in the supreme ancient immortal realms. This subordinate doesn't even have the qualifications to participate in it. The Xianyuan Palace Lord shook his head. 100 years after Realm Lord ascended to the throne, the Convention of the Myriad Realms coincidentally started and you received an invitation. Seems like this is an acknowledgement of Realm Lord's strength and status. Oh! Qin Wendian glanced at the Xianyuan Palace Lord. During these 100 years, other than his cultivation, he understood a lot about the situation in the supreme ancient immortal realms. But even so, it was impossible for him to know everything about the supreme ancient immortal realms. He wasn't very clear about the convention of the myriad realms, and this was why he asked the Xianyuan Palace Lord. Tell me the details, Qin Wendian said. The convention of the myriad realms is one of the most peak-level events in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Only those world overlords who control vast territories would have the qualifications to receive an invitation. Naturally, There's no need to say anything about those supreme powers and clans. This is a peak-level event that belongs to the various powers in the supreme ancient mystic realms. It's basically not something our Qingqing Realms convention can compare to. The scale of the convention is so vast that it includes countless powers like the Qingqing Realm. The Xianyuan Palace Lord spoke. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with sharpness. This was actually a gathering at the pinnacle of the mystic region. Seems like the current him, as a world overlord of a region, could be considered to have already reached the border of this world and had the qualifications to come in contact with people of this level. He has cultivated for many years and has participated in many of these gatherings. Many of them were extremely magnificent and had a great influence on him. But now, the invitation he received might very well be a grand event that surpassed all the previous ones. The supreme ancient immortal realms were simply too vast. The people of the supreme ancient immortal realms divided it into 8 regions. They were named Heaven, Earth, Mystic, Yellow, Universe, Aeon, Flood, and Desolate. The place where the Qingqing realm was located at belonged to the Mystic region and was also known as the Supreme Ancient Mystic region. The mysterious domain was so big that it was said to encompass 10,000 realms. It was simply unimaginably vast. Was it initiated by those existences from the Xian region? Qin Wendian looked at the Xianyuan Palace Lord and asked, "Ancient, this is the rule since ancient times. The convention of the myriad realms happens once every 10,000 years. The convention is the pinnacle of the supreme ancient mystic region and the invitations would be sent out 3 years in advance, allowing people to have time to prepare. I heard that Changsheng has also participated in it before, but after that, he didn't mention it again. Maybe he didn't want to participate anymore. Naturally, I'm not very clear about the details. In any case, Changsheng has never mentioned this before." The Xianyuan Palace Lord spoke. Qin Wendian nodded. There were many reasons why the lifelong Realm Lord didn't mention this matter. But the biggest possibility was that the lifelong Realm Lord basically didn't have much of a presence in the grand banquet. In fact, he didn't even attend the banquet after that, or he didn't receive an invitation. Naturally, the lifelong Realm Lord was already dead. There was no way to verify this point. One could only guess. However, Qin Wendian only needed to imagine a little to know this. This was the pinnacle banquet of the supreme ancient mystic region. The number of world overlords who were invited were as many as the hairs on an ox. For someone with the lifelong Realm Lord strength, even if he participated, it would be hard for him to have much of a presence. This invitation is truly simple. There's no time or location at all. Qin Wendian laughed. There were only 4 words on the invitation card: Convention of the Myriad Realms. However, this by itself was already a type of transcendent aura. These 4 words were sufficient to represent everything. From the moment Realm Lord received the invitation, 3 years should be the time. The Xianyuan Palace Lord spoke. Do you know what the purpose of the Convention of the Myriad Realms is exactly? Qin Wendian asked. This subordinate really has no idea. This is too far away from this subordinate. Hence, this subordinate doesn't have any concrete understanding. I've only heard of the fame of the Convention of the Myriad Realms. The Xianyuan Palace Lord bitterly smiled and shook his head. Even the Xianyuan Palace Lord wasn't clear about the details of the peak banquet of the supreme ancient mystic region. From this, one could very well imagine how vast the supreme ancient mystic region was. Many news wouldn't even reach the Qingqing realm. I got it. Qin Wendian nodded. Go and prepare for the banquet. Xianyuan Palace Lord, I'll have to trouble you for the following matters. Everything will be handled by you guys. Realm Lord is too polite. This is something this subordinate should do. I will definitely do my best. The Xianyuan Palace Lord clasped his hands. This subordinate shall take his leave. After speaking, he directly left this place. After the Xianyuan Palace Lord left, Qin Wendian stared at the invitation that had already returned to his hand. A peak-level gathering in the mystic region. Should he attend it? Very swiftly, he made a decision in his heart. This time around, he would be able to meet with the peak characters of the various regions, supreme world overlords, as well as experts from the peak powers of the supreme ancient mystic region. Such an opportunity would only appear once every 10,000 years. He mustn't miss it. He decided to go. What do you think? At this moment, the skybreak heavenly deity's voice rang out in Qin Wentian's mind, conversing with him. Senior, I've decided to participate. Qin Wentian replied. Now that you have already broken through to the world overlord realm, it's time for you to go out and roam the world. Take a look at the peak powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Although you won't be able to meet any heavenly deities, you should be able to see quite a few world overlords and juniors from these powers. You can also take this opportunity to see how outstanding the people nurtured by the peak powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms are. The skybreak heavenly deity spoke. He naturally hoped that Qin Wentian would participate. There was no need to doubt this. He had high hopes for Qin Wentian, hoping that Qin Wentian would be able to climb to the peak of the world. I'm filled with anticipation as well. Qin Wentian's eyes shone like the stars in the sky. In the ancient battlefield, he saw many heavenly deities and experienced secret realms like the world of 10,000 laws. But what about the true peak characters of the supreme ancient immortal realms? He basically had no way to come into contact with them in the Qingqing realm. He would be able to see them in the convention of the myriad realms. It's just that in the mystic region of the supreme ancient immortal realms, there weren't any peak powers or heavenly deity clans with the surname Qin. Where was the clan that his parents were from exactly? Would he have a chance to meet them in the convention? Right now, he has already stabilized his footing in the supreme ancient immortal realms and has truly stepped into the world overlord realm. He no longer had the title of Qingqing Realm Lord. In the depths of his heart, he was starting to stir. This was especially so when he thought of everything he saw in his mind back then. When he saw everything his father had to endure, he felt an intense impulse. He wanted to crush this entire world and kill all those so-called clansmen who acted against his father back then. If he didn't take revenge for this, he wouldn't be worthy of being a son. Also, he knew even less about his mother. He really wanted to know what sort of outstanding character his mother was. Right now, he finally had the qualifications to come in contact with that level of character. He would definitely reach that step. Chapter 1757. The supreme ancient immortal realms stood at the pinnacle of the 33 immortal realms. They were split into 8 regions: heaven, earth, mystic, illusion, cosmos, desolate, and desolate. The division of these 8 regions had deep meanings. For each region, the number of lower worlds they controlled was roughly the same. In the 33 immortal realms, other than the supreme ancient immortal realms, there were also 32 lower worlds. Other than the desolate region, the number of lower worlds controlled by the peak powers of each region was 4. The desolate region had 3 because Azure Mystic wasn't controlled by any power. If not, each of the 32 lower worlds would have 4 immortal realms under their control. Naturally, this was an ideal number. If the Azure Mystic immortal realms weren't sealed, it was unknown which hegemonic power would control it. In the mystic region, there were 3 hegemonic powers. Each of them controlled 4 greater worlds. From this, one could very well imagine how powerful they were. Naturally, these 3 hegemonic powers also had many vassal powers under them. All of them were so powerful that no one could look at them directly. But according to Qin Wentian's understanding of the situation in the supreme ancient immortal realms, the hegemonic powers of the mystic region weren't the strongest. He had long heard from the undying old freak that there was a Buddhist sect in the supreme ancient immortal realms that controlled 4 immortal realms. How powerful was this? This meant that this power represented an entire region. In addition, even in the mystic region, it wasn't hard to understand which region this hegemonic power belonged to. It was located in the western region of the supreme ancient immortal realms, the universe region, also known as the Pure Land of Bliss. The location of the convention of the myriad realms had always been fixed. It was just that because the Qingqing realm was located far away, many people had never heard of it before. But if one made some inquiries, They would know that the location of the convention of the myriad realms once every 10,000 years had always been the symbolic ancient city of the mystic region. In ancient times, when the 8 regions were divided, the first heavenly deity came from this city. That was a legendary character known as the Time King City, and there were also people who referred to him as the Time King. In order to commemorate the place where he was born, this city was named Time City. Right now, Qin Wenyin arrived at this incomparably ancient and majestic city. It has already been over 2 years since he received the invitation. There were still several months before the convention of the myriad realms would be held in this city. He came here a few months earlier, traversing many realms and spending a long time before he arrived. Naturally, not only Qin Wenyin came, there were many people who came with him. Qingqing, Princess Kitamura, Nanfeng Yaoyue, and the others. They all came with him, preparing to take a look at the convention of the myriad realms. Right now, everyone here had extraordinary strength and they could do and could realms. Qin Wenyin, Qin sect lords of realms could world realms, and he realms, world, king, ancient. As for the Qingqing realm, it was already very stable now. The 9 world palaces have already controlled the Qingqing realm for 100 years and there wouldn't be any chaos. Little Rascal, who had transformed into a golden-winged great rock, swooped down from the air and landed on the ground. Numerous majestic buildings towered into the clouds. One had to be careful when flying in the air. Occasionally, there would be supremely powerful greater demons flying through the air. These greater demons included dragons, phoenixes, kirins, and other auspicious saint beasts. There were also terrifying beasts like the Taotai and Qiongqi. Naturally, there were also mutated and rare demonic beasts. I feel that those extremely rare empyreans in the Qingqing realm are nothing here. Jun Mingchen glanced at the experts in the surroundings as he spoke. Qin Wenyin nodded his head lightly. In the past, powers like the lifelong Saint Hall would always have stricter control over their cities. Ordinary characters basically wouldn't have the qualifications to stay in lifelong city, let alone this legendary city, Time City. Senior brother, did you see any world overlords? Jun Mingchen asked Qin Wenyin. Even now, he was still used to referring to Qin Wenyin as senior brother. There are quite a few. Qin Wenyin nodded. Where are there world overlords? Jun Mingchen's eyes flashed with excitement. He hadn't met many world overlords before, only a few at most. Now that he came to Time City, he wanted to see how strong the world overlords here were. That white-haired senior in front of you. Qin Wenyin spoke in a low voice to Jun Mingchen. Jun Mingchen started as he stared ahead. Over there was a white-haired old man who was currently bending his back as he advanced forward. He looked extremely old and was dressed in the simplest of robes. It couldn't be any more ordinary. Senior brother, you aren't lying to me, right? Jun Mingchen blinked. As he spoke, the old man in front halted and turned his head back to glance in Jun Mingchen's direction. His eyes narrowed into slits and a smile could be seen on his face. Although he looked old, his smiling eyes gleamed with a terrifying light. At this instant, Jun Mingchen only felt his soul being imprisoned as he stood there in a daze. Who asked you to speak nonsense? Quickly apologize to this senior. Qin Wenyin smiled. When he spoke, a formless energy circulated around him. After that, Jun Mingchen felt much more relaxed. The old man smiled as he glanced at Qin Wenyin. Junior was rude, please don't blame me. Jun Mingchen smiled. At this moment, he no longer doubted the old man's words. No worries. The old man laughed. He then turned to Qin Wenyin. Sir, are you here to participate in the convention of the myriad realms? Is old sir here as well? Qin Wenyin smiled and nodded. The old man nodded. You even brought your family and friends along. Junior, you are truly interesting. I've never been to a faraway place before. Since it's such a rare opportunity, I naturally have to come and broaden my horizons. Qin Wenyin replied. That's true. The old man nodded. After that, he turned and his silhouette flickered as he vanished from sight. Jun Mingchen almost thought that his eyes were playing tricks on him. But the area before him was already empty. Even his immortal sense couldn't find the old man. How fast! Jun Mingchen sighed in admiration. Qin Wenyan smiled at him. Who told you to speak nonsense? This place is Time City, a place filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Other than that old man earlier, there was another extremely young man on our left. Did you notice him? He seems to be around my age. He's also a world overlord. Qin Wenyan spoke in a low voice. Jun Mingchen rolled his eyes, feeling somewhat speechless and somewhat depressed. Right now, he hasn't even broken through to the world overlord realm yet. Let's find an inn to stay in first. We still have to stay in Time City for a period of time. Qin Wenyan spoke. Everyone nodded in agreement. After such a long journey, they finally arrived at Time City. It was about time for them to rest. During these few days, they didn't eat anything and wanted to try out the delicacies and wine in Time City. Although stellar martial cultivators wouldn't be affected if they didn't eat, it was only normal for humans to have cravings for food. In addition, the food in the supreme ancient immortal realms wasn't just food, all of them were heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures. While enjoying a meal, it would also transform one's body. Not long after, everyone found an inn to stay in. Within the inn, there was also a restaurant. Within the pavilions, one could enjoy the delicacies while admiring the scenery in the distance. Little Rascal transformed into his puppy form. His appetite was extremely huge and he wolfed down the food quickly. Jun Mingchen wasn't any better off. Although the actions of the beauties were elegant, Mo Qingchen couldn't help but to sigh. The ingredients used for this food are all treasures I've never heard of before. After the food entered my stomach, the energy in my body automatically circulated and I felt extremely comfortable. Right now, Mo Qingchen was only at the immortal emperor realm. The feeling was naturally extremely intense. Even for Empyreans, they all felt a sense of pleasure. Sister-in-law, why don't you look at the price of this meal? Using world stones as the unit of measurement? This is simply too extravagant. Senior brother, is there a need for you to do this? Jun Mingchen speechlessly spoke. Those were world stones. Just a single one was priceless. It's rare for me to come out, I naturally have to enjoy life. Qin Wenyan was in a very good mood. It was rare for everyone to be able to gather together and leisurely enjoy delicacies and wine. It wasn't a big deal to spend some money. Right now, as the Qingqing Realm Lord, all the resources in this world belonged to him. Although world stones were precious, he didn't lack them. In addition, he also brought out many good items from the divine depositories in the ancient battlefield. Sir, you must have come from a faraway place, right? A beauty who came to serve the dishes smiled at Jun Mingchen as she asked. She originally belonged to the category of beauties that were extremely comfortable to look at. She was youthful and beautiful, and when she smiled, she exuded a sense of friendliness. Such a beauty was actually just a serving girl serving food. How could such treatment not be considered extravagant? You managed to see through me. Jun Mingchen laughed. In Time City, it's considered normal to enjoy a meal. How can it be considered extravagant? Didn't you go to those places where divine weapons and accessories are traded? Those places are truly extravagant. Sir, if you want to buy a set of clothes or a set of accessories for those beautiful fairies, you would have to spend tens of millions of world stones. Also, the quality of the world stones cannot be too low. The serving girl warmly smiled. She didn't seem to have the intention to be teased. What kind of clothes and accessories are these? Jun Mingchen was somewhat dumbfounded. Of course it's a world deity weapon refined by a powerful grandmaster. It's just a piece of clothing or an accessory. It might not look eye-catching, but it's actually an extremely powerful treasure. There are offensive and defensive types, and it's a combination of beauty and practicality. The maid smiled. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he glanced at the serving girl. These words seemed to be spoken to Mo Qingqing and Qing, who were beside him. This beautiful serving girl was very intelligent, using such a method to introduce herself to him. I really wish to go there. Are you willing to be my guide? Naturally, I will pay you a certain amount of remuneration. Qin Wendian smiled. He actually needed a guide to understand Time City and the convention of the myriad realms. If Sir has a need, I will naturally obey. It's just that Sir can see that I'm currently doing something and can only be done tomorrow. The serving girl bowed. Sure. Qin Wendian nodded. Yi Zi will wait here for Sir tomorrow. The serving girl bowed to Qin Wendian before she retreated. Senior brother, don't tell me you want to help sister-in-law buy accessories? Jun Mengchen blinked his eyes. I feel that the young woman intentionally said that when she saw sister-in-law. Naturally, but it's also good that we can roam around and broaden our horizons. Even if we don't want to buy accessories, shouldn't we stroll around this Time City? How can we not have a guide? Qin Wendian smiled. Jun Mengchen nodded. Nanfeng Yaoyue and the others smiled as they glanced at Qin Wendian. Given how much this fellow doted on Qing and Mo Qingqing, he would really go all out. Chapter 1758. On the second day, Yi Zi agreed to the appointment and brought Qin Wendian and the others out of the inn. This beautiful serving girl had a cultivation base at the Immortal Emperor realm and was also young and beautiful. If she was an Azure mystic, she would definitely be a dazzling character. But this place was Time City and she was merely a serving girl. This was the disparity between realms, so great that it was unimaginable. The Southern Phoenix matriarch also felt that this was a little surreal. Before they followed Qin Wendian, they were merely at the Immortal Emperor realm as well. Sir Qin, where do you want to go? Yi Zi smiled at Qin Wendian. From the start, she gave off a strong sense of affinity. Although her beauty couldn't be compared to Mo Qingqing, Qingge, or the Southern Phoenix matriarch, she was extremely beautiful when she smiled. Didn't you intentionally tempt me yesterday? Let's go take a look at divine weapons and accessories. Qin Wendian smiled at Yi Zi. You can see through me. A mischievous look appeared on Yi Zi's face. Sir Qin, those who can use world stones to enjoy delicacies in the inn are mostly people who came from outside to participate in the convention of the myriad realms. I saw that Sir Qin has many beautiful fairies around you and hence, I thought that Sir Qin might have a need in this aspect. Hence, I intentionally said that to earn some compensation for leading the way. After all, for cultivators like Yi Zi who don't have a powerful background, they have to rely on themselves to earn resources. This is the fastest way to earn money. Sir Qin, you won't blame Yi Zi, right? If I blame you, I wouldn't have invited you here. Qin Wendian smiled. The people behind him also sighed. It wasn't easy to become an immortal emperor in this place. Many thanks for Sir Qin's understanding. In Time City, there are all sorts of divine weapons. What the fairies need should be at the world grade, right? Yi Zi asked. Enichim. Qin Wendian nodded. Although Di Tian could forge weapons, he clearly didn't have the ability to forge world-grade divine weapons. Most probably, only world overlords who had immersed themselves in the Tao of weapon forging for many years would be able to do so. In that case, I will bring Sir Qin to the Heaven Immortal Tower. There are many exquisite world-grade divine weapons there. Yi Zi spoke. Just lead the way. Qin Wendian nodded. He then asked, Yi Zi, how many world overlords would participate in the convention? He was filled with anticipation for this. Yi Zi was a cultivator who had been living in Time City for a long time. He would definitely be well informed and would know much more than him. The convention of the myriad realms is derived from the meaning of the myriad realms. The myriad heavens refers to the four worlds governed by the mystic region. The experts from the four worlds would naturally come, while the myriad realms refers to the other world regions of the mystic region. Other than this, there would also be many major clans and powers, as well as experts from supreme powers that don't govern territories. In addition, unaffiliated cultivators would also gather here. Hence, although it has the name Myriad Realms, in truth, the number of world overlords who would come wouldn't be limited to just 10,000. The mystic region is so vast and the number of living beings there are countless, it's basically impossible to count them all. The convention of the myriad realms is the pinnacle of the mystic region, and the number of experts gathered here is basically something that Yi Zi can't imagine. Ye's words were somewhat solemn, and Qin Wenyan also deeply agreed. Yes, just the Qingqing realm alone was incomparably vast, and the vast majority of people couldn't even venture out of it in their entire lives. How vast was the entire primordial mystic realm? It was unimaginable. The 4 lower worlds controlled by the mystic region will also participate? Qin Wenyan mumbled. The Eastern Royal Immortal Realms, Scarlet Sun Immortal Realms, Wuji Immortal Realms, and Yuanshi Immortal Realms. These 4 immortal realms are governed by the 3 supreme powers of our mystic region. Their statuses are extremely high, comparable to those supreme existences that follow the 3 supreme powers. They are also extremely powerful and have nurtured many experts. After so many years, there's no lack of world-shaking characters among them who can directly join the 3 supreme powers for cultivation. They naturally have to participate in the convention of the myriad realms. Yi Zi spoke. In that case, what about the experts from the other 7 regions outside the mystic region? Would there be people coming to participate in the convention? Qin Wenyan casually asked. Ordinary world overlords wouldn't come. But sometimes world overlords from some supreme powers would come to take a look at the strength of the mystic region's world overlords. After all, the convention of the myriad realms is a rare opportunity to see many world overlords of the mystic region, and from there, they would be able to see the strength of the mystic region. Yi Zi continued to explain. Qin Wenyan nodded. World overlords were the strongest experts below heavenly deities. Heavenly deity-level existences stood at the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms. After all, even in the boundlessly vast supreme ancient immortal realms, there weren't too many heavenly deity-level existences. World overlords were the core strength of the various regions. On the way, Qin Wenyan asked many questions. Yi Zi naturally told him everything he knew. This caused Qin Wenyan to gradually have a deeper understanding of the mystic region and the convention of the myriad realms. This was also one of the reasons why he asked Yi Zi to be his guide. He needed to know some information, and asking from the mouths of others was naturally the simplest and most direct method. There were simply too many things Qin Wenyan wanted to know. Unknowingly, a long period of time passed and they finally arrived at their destination, the Heaven Immortal Tower. If one wanted to enter the Heaven Immortal Tower, they first had to pay an ordinary world stone, and there was no need to return it. Naturally, each group of people only had to pay 1 world stone. This was to ensure that not just anyone could enter. The population of Time City was countless. If there were no restrictions, a place like the Heaven Immortal Tower would surely be filled to the brim with people. How would they be able to do business then? Most probably, the vast majority of the people here were here for sightseeing. Only those who could ignore a world stone would have the ability to conduct transactions in the Heaven Immortal Tower. After Qin Wenyan entered the Heaven Immortal Tower, he was soon stunned by the dazzling array of treasures here. The interior of the Heaven Immortal Tower was extremely luxurious and vast. There were all sorts of treasures here, and all of them were meant for females. There was no need to say much about the different styles of celestial clothing. They were simply too beautiful. Qingqing and the other females didn't like these, but they were all attracted by the accessories here. Which woman wouldn't like to be beautiful? This necklace is so beautiful. Qingqing walked to the front of a necklace and spoke to Qing. If elder sister Qing wears this, she would surely be extremely beautiful. I won't wear it, Qing replied. Her skin was a little thin, and it was true that she had never worn any accessories before. Her beauty was naturally sculpted. Even if she didn't put on any makeup, she would still be flawless. What's the use of this necklace? Qin Wenyan stared at the beautiful maiden in front of the counter as he asked. This necklace was truly beautiful. It seemed to be carved from a sky blue crystal. That was the color of the purest ocean. This is the ocean's heart. If it's activated, the ocean's heart defense will appear and the wearer's body will be enveloped within. It can block the attacks of ordinary world overlords and won't collapse until the energy within completely dissipates. The serving girl smiled as she introduced. I feel that this ocean's heart is more suitable for Yo Wang's demeanor. Qin Wendian smiled. Princess Kitamura started. She glanced at Qin Wendian and upon seeing the gazes of everyone, she couldn't help but lower her head as she blushed. This was an accessory, yet Qin Wendian said that it was more suitable for her. What would everyone think? Qin Wendian truly felt that this ocean's heart was more suitable for Yo Wang's beauty. In addition, it also had defensive capabilities. In addition to Yo Wang's strength at the World Overlord level, she would have an additional layer of protection in battle in the future. He didn't think too much about it. However, Princess Kitamura's reaction caused Qin Wendian to feel somewhat awkward. He could only stare at everyone and ask, does everyone not feel that this is the case? I also feel that it's more suitable for Yo Wang's demeanor. Nanfeng Yaoyue smiled when she saw the scene, trying to diffuse the awkwardness. I also feel that it's more suitable for elder sister Yu Huang compared to elder sister Qin. Mo Qingqing smiled as she stared at Qin Wendian. Qin Wendian felt a little guilty when he saw Mo Qingqing smile. However, he really didn't think too much about it. He only felt that it was more suitable for Yu Huang. What's the price? Mo Qingqing directly asked. 300 ordinary world stones. If there are any extraordinary world stones, the price will be calculated separately. The serving girl smiled as she replied. Mo Qingqing glanced at Qin Wendian. You should be able to afford it, right? Qin Wendian nodded. He had quite a lot of ordinary world stones. Okay, we'll take it then. Mo Qingqing smiled and directly decided. The people behind her stared at Mo Qingqing with admiration in their eyes. Such a woman, no wonder Qin Wendian would be so deeply in love with her. After Qin Wendian bought it, he gave it to Yu Huang. This caused Yu Huang to feel extremely awkward, but she still accepted it. On the way, she lowered her head and didn't have the mood to admire the treasures in the Heaven Immortal Tower. Qin, do you too like anything? Qin Wendian asked. This time around, Yu didn't come. The Qingqing Saint Hall also needed someone to take care of it. I don't need it. Qin shook her head. No, why don't we take that robe? Mo Qingqing pulled Qin along as they walked forward. Over there was a set of robes hanging there. The lines of the robes were extremely soft, and they were green in color. Faintly, a resplendent glow could be seen emanating from it. The two fairies have good eyesight. This is the Divine Concealment Robe. It has the ability to conceal oneself and has a powerful defense. If it isn't destroyed, it can be used repeatedly. A serving girl introduced. It's so beautiful. How many world stones? Mo Qingqing directly asked. 20,000 ordinary world stones. The serving girl smiled. Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes flashed as she weakly glanced at Qin Wendian. Let's go. Qin spoke in a light voice. This number was too terrifying. Mo Qingqing felt some reluctance. She stretched out her hand, wanting to touch the robe. You are not allowed to touch it. The smile on the serving girl's face suddenly vanished. She berated, causing Mo Qingqing's body to tremble as her hand froze in midair. I'm sorry, the items here are for sale and cannot be touched casually. If there are any flaws, you might have second thoughts if you want to purchase it. The serving girl smiled. However, the aura she exuded earlier still caused Mo Qingqing to jump in fright. The serving girl was actually at the Empyrean realm. At that instant, she felt a wave of pressure boring down on her. Also, Mo Qingqing could sense that although the serving girl was smiling, her eyes were filled with disdain. After all, she was merely at the immortal emperor realm. No wonder the serving girl would act like this. I'm sorry. Mo Qingqing retracted her hand and apologized in a low voice. Miss Qingqing, are you all right? Yi Zi hurriedly ran over. That voice earlier caused the gazes of many in the Heaven Immortal Tower to turn over. Qin Wendian walked over. His gaze was cold when he stared at the serving girl. As an Empyrean, the serving girl could easily stop Mo Qingqing or use gentle methods to warn her. Such a berating tone was extremely impolite. Although the serving girl smiled after that, Given how sharp Qin Wentian's eyes were, he could clearly see the disdain in the serving girl's eyes. Most probably, Qing Qing could sense it as well. Along the way, he had always been carefully protecting Qing Qing, afraid that she would be overly sensitive because her cultivation base was too low. He had always loved her deeply and even brought her along when he attended the convention of the Myriad Realms. He didn't expect that she would be berated by someone here. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.